Good morning and welcome to our 69th weekly webcast. If this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. If you've been with us before, welcome back. And so the way it works is this is an AMA. You can ask me anything. You can ask me business questions, career questions, and personal questions, etc. And so I'm here to help. I'm here to help. And so I want to do something a little bit different this week, which is if you have software questions as well that you'd like me to help you with, Excel or whatever it is, Photoshop, let me know. Might be fun to do that. So what I want to do actually is I want to show you all how to create a virtual product or an MVP, a minimum viable product, and show it using augmented reality. Okay, it's really, really easy to do. And you need to know how to code it all. So let's say that you're in an interview or you're trying to raise money and you have a product that you haven't created yet, but you want to show an augmented reality version of it. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do this today. It's really, really simple and it's a lot of fun as well. So I'm going to wing this from scratch here. What you do is you use a product from Adobe called Adobe Dimension. And this product blows my mind. People use it to make 3D images and models, etc., for video games. Something fell over there, scared me. And it's really easy to use. So let's do this. And your kids will love this too if you have kids. So we're going to create a new document here. And you can buy assets from Adobe. You can download them. It's like getting like images or videos online or music. You can license them, or you can make your own. So let me go here to ones that I've made or purchased or licensed or whatever it is. And we're going to have fun with this. Okay. So let's say that just for fun, I created a new type of helmet. Okay. And this type of helmet is better than any helmet ever made before. And it's got carbon fiber on the outside and whatnot. And I'm completely making this up. And I'm doing this in real time just so you can understand how easy it is to use this. All right. So this helmet here, and this is just an image I downloaded from Adobe. What we can do is we can scroll around it here. And let me just get a little bit more real estate. There we go. Yeah. So we could scroll around this image here. We can customize it as well. By going on this side here, get rid of the metal cap on the side there, these little things. I know it's silly, but it's really, really detailed. It's amazing. You can get rid of the chin protector down there if you wanted to, or you can just color the whole thing. Okay, so let's do that. Let's actually color the helmet shell, which is here. See, there it is gone. Now it's back. And the way that 3D coloring works is it's actually, you get these colors in a ball. And the reason you get them in a ball is because the 3D software wants to know where you're going to put this. Like if it's an image and there's light, then you'll see the light reflection here, and they all have edges as well. And this will make much more sense when I throw one of these in here. So let's make the outside of this the color brass. Okay, there it is there. It's pretty cool. Really, really easy to do. And it's simple to put on text as well. All you have to do is you basically go to Photoshop or any application and you just save a PNG file if you want. And a PNG file has a transparent background. So let me show you how to put on text here. So I'll wing this as well. Let's go into Photoshop, okay, right here. And the whole goal of this is I'm going to show you how to make it augmented reality on your iPhone. The end product is amazing. We're going to create it in real time together right here. So let me create a new file here in Photoshop. And then what I'll do is let me just maximize the screen so you guys can see it a little bit better. And I'll put a little bit of text here, okay? And I'll call this new helmet. There we go. And I'm going to obviously make that text size a lot bigger. Go to transform, zoom in here. And all you Photoshop experts are probably shaking your head thinking I'm an idiot. There we go. Much better. All right. So it looks dumb. It's not perfect. But hey, it's good enough for this example. Now I'm going to get rid of the background. Okay. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to export this. I know the quick key there. And we're going to export it as a PNG file. Okay. And then what we're going to do is, and it's going to be a tiny file, 2.6 kilobits. Again, PNG lets you have a transparent background. I'm going to save it on the desktop and I'm going to call it helmet fun. I don't know, whatever. Now we're going to go back here to Adobe Dimension. And then what we'll do is this. We're going to go to the Finder or Windows Explorer if you're using Windows. Okay, there we go, good. I'll go to my desktop and Helmet Fun. I'm going to drag this right there, okay? And it's going to put in that text, helmet or whatever I called it, new helmet. Okay, there we go, yeah. And then what I can do is I can drag this over. You size it this way, okay? So I select the item right here, graphic, whoops. Select the item, graphic right here. There we go. And I can drag it over if I want to. I can twist it. I can change colors. Obviously, that color is not that great. And if I wanted to, I can actually even change the lighting environment, which looks like this. This will blow your mind. This is amazing. So let's go here, okay, to lighting. And let's say that we want the lighting to be a forest. So I can do that. That's actually a forest lighting there in the background. See? And then I can change it if I want to a wood studio. It's pretty cool. And I can drag it around like this, and you can see the wood studio there. Okay, great. And then what I'm going to do is this. Now I'm going to export this so that we can put it into augmented reality. You're going to love this. This is cool. All right, so now what we do is we go to File, Export, Selected for Aero. So you got to download an app on here, which I'll show you in a second, called AERO. It's a free application from Adobe, AERO. Okay, so it processes it, and then what it does, it throws it up into the cloud. And then what you do is you grab it on here. So I'm going to select Export right now. I'm going to call it New Helmet Fun. Why not? Let's have fun with this. And I'm going to export that up into the cloud. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that you can see what I'm going to do next, the next steps. Let me just go back here so we're in Wirecast and you guys can see me properly. Okay, good. Now what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to go back here to Big Chris, and I'm going to show you this from scratch, okay? So I should probably zoom in. I'll get my overhead camera working next time, but we'll go to Aero, A-E-R-O, okay? That's the Aero app. I'll make it a little bit brighter so you guys can see it. Okay, and then I have to find the surface. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go like this, and it will and I've got keyboard there, you can see. So I'm going to find a surface here, and I found the surface, and I'm going to put in my object. So I'm going to go here to Creative Cloud, okay, and it says here, New Helmet Fun. It's probably hard to see there. Sorry. So I'll select that. I'll go Open. And it's going to say, hey, where do you want to put it? And I want to put it right there on my keyboard. And I'll show you what it looks like in a second. Go away, Siri. All right, so I'm placing it now. I'm right there. Okay, so there it is. You see? There it is. And it's now on my desktop. And I'm going to turn this around so you can see it a bit better. See there? It's actually right there literally on my desktop. So let me turn it. There it is right there. And I can turn it around if I want to as well, like this. See, and there's the writing on the back there. It says New Helmet Fun. So it's pretty cool, eh? It's really, really neat. And you can, sorry, I was out of camera there. You can do what I'm showing you in a meeting where you're trying to raise money, or you're trying to give you're trying to show somebody what a product is going to look like. And there it is on my desk right there. It's kind of hard to see, but you can kind of see it's auto-focusing on my face. You can kind of see the football helmet there. Yeah, there it is there in different angles. So again, that's called the Aero app. It's really, really easy to use. It's incredibly intuitive. And then what I'll do is I'll do a quick little screen recording, and then I'll show you what it looks like exactly, okay? Because I'm looking at a different angle. So you can go here, do screen recording, 3, 2, 1, go. And I'll play it back to you in a second. So I can see it from all angles now. It's right there. And that's another helmet I put in from before. So there it is right there. And you could play around with it. You could drag it, etc., like this. Okay, good. Now what I'll do is I will stop the screen record. And I'm going to try my best to hold this up to you to see it, so you can see it. Okay. So here's what it looks like there. Oops. And I'll get out of the way so it's not focusing on my face, or I'll hold it back here. See that? That's what it looks like on my desk. See how I spun it around as well. It's It's pretty cool, huh? How dope is that? Or lit, as the younger generation says. Or groovy. Do they still say groovy? So it's pretty cool. It's easy to do, and it's wonderful to use for an interview, especially if you want to show a product that doesn't exist yet. A minimum viable product. And you could play around with this for hours and just have a lot of fun. And this is how video gamers do it as well. And then they'll also use another product called Unity and the Unreal Engine to make games. So you can make games, you can make 3D objects the easy way. And you can actually use these in your PowerPoint presentations. And let me show you this as well. This is going to blow your mind. So the way to use this in a PowerPoint presentation, which is what I do when I teach my MBA degree program now, it's a lot of fun, is this. You go to export, okay? You export the scene. Then what you do is you're going to export it as a GLB file. Okay, I'm just telling you all you need to know. There's no coding here at all. And then I'm going to save this actually, I think I'll save it on my desktop, and I'll call it Helmet PowerPoint. This is going to blow your mind. Great. So it's exporting. It's a pretty quick process to export and save it. What I'll do now is I'm going to go over and open up PowerPoint. Okay. And then I'm going to create a new document right here. Okay. And I'll just have one page here. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to go and insert this file here. So we'll go over to the Finder or Windows Explorer if you use Windows. Here it is here, the GLB. Drag it, okay? And it's going to insert that right now. Just ignore that security thing on my computer. Grant access to myself. There we go. All right, now watch this. I'm going to copy that slide here to here. Okay, there's the image. I'm going to turn it around, new helmet, okay? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Transitions, and I'm going to call it Morph, okay? So watch this. Now we're going to play this slideshow and just use the morph feature. So watch this. Okay, this is a slideshow. I'm going to hit next slide over here in the corner. Watch this. Whoops, it's supposed to morph. Problem with doing live demos. Okay. Oh, that's why. Morph. Okay, yeah, it'll work now. All right, so check this out. So we'll click play. And then I'll go to the next slide here. How cool is that? Eh? And you can put a ton of these things there as well in this here. So you can go here, copy, paste. You could put in a ton of new images as well that you've made. It's so fun. It's so fun. And so if you have a minimum viable product or anything you want to show in a presentation, I'm just going to go ahead 2 slides. How cool is that? We made that together. It was fun. You can do it in PowerPoint, morph it. It'll make your presentations more fun. And you know what? More importantly, it'll be more fun for you as well. You'll enjoy work. You got to whistle while you work. And you can also obviously use the arrow app here to make it. So to show it on your, in an interview or in a presentation, whatever it might be. And so there you have it. That's the easy way to create 3D models to impress potential employers, business partners, sales customers, etc. You should do this if you're selling a physical product as well. And if you have additional questions about this, please let me know, and thank you. All right. Now I'm going to go back here to Wirecast, and I'm going to go into big screen mode, and I'll minimize this and this, and go back and get your questions. And this. Get out of the way. All right, so here we go. Okay, great. So good morning to you too, Mercy and Kunal. How are you? Always great to have you guys. All right. So the first question here, and by the way, that was me buying time because I noticed that we didn't have questions the second I started. So that was filler, but hopefully fun filler. This is fun for me. All right. So the first question is from Kunal. Kunal is saying Saudi Aramco raised $25 billion through its IPO, and the company is in talks to give away another $75 billion in dividends. What do you think will be the real reason behind this IPO? It clearly shows that they don't need the $25 billion. They already make crazy amounts of money, being the most profitable company in the world. Yeah. So the reason that companies go public usually is to get use of proceeds to expand materially into new markets or existing markets. So if you're a domestic company and you want to sell your products overseas, doing an IPO allows you to have a big war chest. You can open offices overseas and expand, or make tuck-in acquisitions, that sort of thing. And for, I don't know if this is the case with Saudi Aramco, probably not as much, maybe. But for a lot of startups, the IPO also allows the founders and existing employees to harvest their investment to get paid. And it keeps employees happy, and it gives you the opportunity also to create stock options every single year for your employees. And those stock options can vest, or you can cash them in. That's what vesting means, kind of, every 4 years or so. So every year you get more shares, which means you have golden handcuffs, because if you want to leave, you think to yourself, gosh, if I leave, I'm leaving a lot of money on the table 3 years or 4 years from now. Yeah. So when it comes to Saudi Aramco, and I've not read the S1 filing or the prospectus, you should before you invest in that company or any company. That's an offering memorandum. But perhaps the use of proceeds is to expand outside of the oil industry. You know, there's a famous Saudi oil executive years ago said that the Stone Age did not end because they ran out of stones. So maybe the use of proceeds is going to be to invest in clean tech, or invest in, I don't know, next generation solar, or something to hedge their bets, because oil is going to be a loser bet in the very, very long run. It's still a great investment now because it's a commodity, and you know there's a dearth or a limit on supply. But longer term, Saudi Aramco might be thinking, goodness, if we don't do something, then in 20 or 30 or 40 years, we'll go back to just having a desert. I know it sounded kind of harsh, but you got to think long term when you're investing. So hopefully that answers the question. The bottom line there is you got to go and read the IPO prospectus to find out what the use of proceeds are going to be. And you can also read about all the risks in the investment memorandum. And never invest in any stock or any mutual fund or ETF or any company for that matter until you read the offering memorandum. And the way to do that is this, actually. Let's go there together. This will be fun. So what you can do is you can actually go, and I'll go over here, get a little bit more real estate. Yeah, we'll go right here. Okay, good. So what you can do is you can go to sec.gov. Okay, and here you can read up on any company. And you can get the IPO prospectus, so to speak, which the investment bankers create. I'm sorry, this is live. I can't take that back now. So let's go to FB as a ticker for Facebook, and let's go read the S1 filing. And the S1 filing is a government mandated document that's created so that you can see all the risks before you invest. And you can see all these other great documents here as well, like the 10Q, which means the quarterly report, the 8K, which means an important press release like earnings, as well as the 10K, which is the annual report. Okay, which is down here somewhere. Yeah. And so let's do a search on the S-1, go, and we can read the IPO prospectus that Facebook's investment bankers and lawyers created back in the summer of 2012. Okay, it was back down here. They actually created it before summer 2012 for the IPO. So if you click here, what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to see all the risks, right? And you can see here, top left was Morgan Stanley. They led the IPO. That means that they were the book runner. And the other people that were on the IPO are other firms, which were important but not as important because they didn't get that prestigious, coveted top left, were JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs. And then these smaller named companies here were also a part of the syndicate, meaning they helped to distribute the shares globally to institutional investors. Okay, so you could scroll through this and read all about the company. Let me make this a bit bigger so you could see it. You can see the risk factors. You can see everything you want to see about Facebook before making an investment. And so if you do a Control F search on the word mobile, okay, you could search through, there's 123 instances of the word mobile. And I remember this well because I remember flipping the IPO. I owned out Facebook when it was private. And then also when it was public, I got shares in the IPO and I flipped it day one because I read through this prospectus and I was worried at the time that, and it was a great investment in the long run. I worked in a hedge fund years ago. But what happened was, I don't know if you remember, but in the summer of 2012, when Facebook went public, it was a disaster because they didn't have a mobile strategy. In the summer of 2012, Facebook didn't have a mobile app. So on your Android device or iOS devices, you couldn't check out Facebook that way. You had to go to a browser. It was moronic. So there's 123 instances of the word mobile here. You could scroll through and read all about this. And so the bottom line message is before you look into investing in any IPO or any investment for that matter, you can always read the investment memorandum. With an IPO, it's called an S1. In other industries, it's just called an investment memorandum or investment offering. And lawyers create these things to disclose all risks, all the important risks, so that you have the same access to information as other investors do before deciding to invest or not invest. Okay. All right, I'm full of energy this morning. I got up. I didn't get much sleep last night. I got up. My wife coughed in the middle of the night, and I got up. And when I used to work for other people and had jobs that I hated or didn't love as much as what I love now, when I would look at the clock in the middle of the night, I would say, "Yes, thank God I have 3 more hours to sleep." But now that I'm doing what I'm passionate about, I look at the clock and I'm like, "Oh, awesome! I'm gonna get up now. Plus, I love my cup of coffee. I've clearly had too much this morning. I feel like a Kelly Ripa. Okay. But she might be on something else. Yeah. Other kind of coffee. All right. I was not implying anything there at all. I think she's great. All right. Next up, Phil is saying good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Hey, Phil, how are you, bud? What's going on? And then Canal is saying good morning. And Solly, who's from the wonderful country of Lithuania, is saying, hey, Chris, hey, chat. Solly, always great to have you. Kunal is saying, hey, Chris, what are your system specifications? Because I guess running Adobe Dimension and streaming live would put some heavy load on the system, but it seems you can handle it pretty good. So actually, you don't really need to have more than, say, 16 or 32 gigs of RAM to do what I'm doing right now. I've done what I'm doing right now on a laptop that had 16 gigs of RAM, which was good enough. Now, Adobe Dimension is not that memory intensive, and neither is PowerPoint. If you create just 1 or 2 of those objects and you morph them, the issue comes when you're using a gazillion different items. Like I'm preparing for class on Monday. I'll show you. I'm kind of excited about this. I have to nerd out. I'm going to show you guys what I'm creating right now, and I'll get to my system preferences in a second because I've got this new. I'm embarrassed to say that I went all out with this. I'll show you actually right now, but I won't comment on it. Okay. So about this Mac, there you could look at that. Yeah. So. I went all out. Okay, I 28 cores, whatever. I went all out because in this MBA degree program that I'm doing right now with my students, of which you're one of them, and I see a couple of friends here from the program. I'm creating a lot of 3D and augmented reality stuff. I'm trying to push the goalpost out. Plus, I have to literally render myself and my team 500 hours of 4K video. It was going to be a 300-hour MBA degree for 1 year. But the rate we're at right now, we're producing more than 10 hours of content every week, and we're a couple weeks in. So I had to up my game by getting this computer. And I'm a nerd, too. What can I say? But let me show you, actually. I want to show you the slides I'm preparing for next class. I'm so excited about it, actually. So this class here, let me go and get it. There's so many files that goes into these things. And if I didn't love what I was doing, there's no way I would do this. Okay, so let me go here. Whoops, that's the wrong one. Yeah, this is it here. Okay, yeah, good. So I'll show you what I'm creating here. I'm creating this this slide deck so that I want you to prepare for interviews. And the way it works is this. I'm going to be sitting at the end of the table, and I'm going to be green screened right here, and I'm going to record it this afternoon after the MBA Q&A Office Hours is done. I'll be sitting right there, and I'll be saying, hey, if you're in an interview, and somebody comes up to you in the interview that works in finance department and says, hey, do you have any great investment ideas? And I said, well, you can create one-page investment ideas and bring a color folder like that. Mind you, I'm going to be right here in the middle, so I'm trying to green screen. It's going to be tricky but fun. I love it. Trying to push the goalpost out. Heisman. So I say you could take out a one-pager that you wrote, and you bring 10 of these one-pagers. And I'm going to provide this to you all in a PDF as well as Photoshop, or pardon me, as well as Microsoft PowerPoint formats. And then what I do is I say, well, I want you to really be ready. What if you're in the interview and all of a sudden somebody else walks in to interview you, a different department in the company that works in operations or business development? Well, you can prepare these one-page write-ups for them as well. And that green color is going to be tricky, actually, because I'm green screening. Dumb idea. I'll probably should change that to yellow. But these are the business development ideas that you can write up. And there's 10 slides. And again, I'm going to go through all of this with all of you in class live during the morning and afternoon sessions on Monday, December 23rd, if you're watching the replay of this. Yeah. And then I went a step further. I said, well, okay, what if you get a bunch of other executives that show up in the interview and you want to be ready, that are in different departments over there? Whoops. Screwed up that transition. Here we go. Yeah. And this is all using the morph feature. And I made all these file formats using Adobe Dimension, which is really easy to use. And then this is PowerPoint morphing here. So let's say somebody in sales interviews you, someone in HR, somebody that has an assistant role, etc. And what you can do is you can bring those one-page templates. And then as always, you want to make sure that you have 10 of each in those folders. There we go. There's 10. Okay. And then I created, and I'm still working on this next little part here. I created actually 12 different templates for you, and there they all are. And I'm going to be sitting in the middle here, right in the middle. Is it mouse? Can you see the mouse? Yeah, there it is there. Yeah. I'm going to be sitting right in the middle here, green screened in. So and the way I'm green screened, by the way, is I created two separate images. One is the table and one is the back. I actually cut the image. And if you care, I'll show you how I did it later. But these here are the 12 templates I created for you guys. And then if I click here, you create 10 copies of each. So let me just X out of that for now. But that's morphing. Now, this would not have worked on my my other computer. I got this fully loaded. I'm a geek. I get it. iMac Pro or Mac Pro came in the other day, and I'm absolutely loving the Mac Pro. It's great. I'm rendering a lot of stuff in the background right now, which is great for proxy files and stuff. And I can actually, you don't even need proxy files if you're a video editor. It does it all in real time, and it's pretty amazing. But the only issue I'm having with the iMac, the Mac Pro so far is that it's really hot. It is so quiet. Like what you hear in the background, that's just my air conditioner, and I have to have the air conditioner on at all times now, because it gives off so much damn heat. Unbelievable amount of heat. But it is very, very quiet. Yeah. But in this room, which is 12 by 12 by 12 feet, I usually didn't have to have my air conditioner on, this early in the morning. But I do now. But that's the only complaint. It's not that bad though. But I'm in nerd heaven. Another issue is this with, and if anybody from Apple's watching, which probably isn't the case, please work with developers on Mojave, the new operating system. So for those of you not familiar with Mojave, it's a new operating system or whatever it's called. I think let me go here. The new it's Catalina. I'm so sorry. No, it's Catalina. The problem with Catalina is that it only lets you use 64-bit apps. So that means that if you have a program that's not that's in 32-bit, which is most games, most older programs, it actually won't work, and it's really frustrating for me because my favorite video game of all time is SimCity, which unfortunately Electronic Arts kind of butchered Maxis, the company they bought, and they're not really making any new SimCity games, unfortunately. I don't think Will Wright's even there anymore, the founder of Maxis. Brilliant man, I met him before. But there's only a 32-bit version of SimCity, and so you can't play it on this Mac Pro or anybody that upgrades to Catalina. It's absolutely moronic. And it's up to the developers, I get it, to go and update their apps to run 64-bit, but it's ridiculous. It's like Microsoft. If Microsoft with Windows 3.1 or Windows 95 all of a sudden said you cannot run any DOS-based applications on this computer anymore, they've got to find a workaround somehow. It's kind of frustrating, but aside from that, I do like the Catalina upgrade. It's pretty neat. Yeah. All right. Let me go back here. All right. Oops. And Kundan is saying hello from India. Hello, how are you? Good to have you. And then Solly saying, what do you think of participating in $1,000 seminars? Apart from networking, what else can you learn from them? So it seems like a lot of money. You know, my MBA degree program is $499 for 500 hours, and you get one-on-one time as well. So shameless plug there, sorry. I would, like, Solly, I think you have your own company. So from a tax reason, you said you're a JavaScript coder, I think, and you do a lot of consulting there in Lithuania. From a tax perspective, I'm not familiar with the Lithuanian tax code, but find out if you can write that off in your company, or if it's another firm you're partnering with sends you to it, see if they can pay for part of it. That's one of the reasons why a lot of these seminars are so expensive, because big corporates pay for them for you to go there usually. But I would just make sure that you're going to get a gazillion times more of the value out of it. Go online and read reviews, Yelp reviews, or whatever it is before spending that money. I recommend that. But I usually say don't be cheap when it comes to education. But you'd have to provide me with more details on this. Provide me with the web link even, and I'll give you my humble thoughts in real time on that. Yeah. All right. All right, next up is Kunal is saying, what are some of the most crucial lessons you learned in the 2008 crisis? And what, according to you, would be the reason behind the next crisis if it happens? Yeah. So I would say the most important business lessons from 2008 are illiquid stocks own you in a down market and not vice versa. And so you got to be really, really careful and make sure that you only buy stocks that you can get in and out of if need be within one trading day. If you're a retail investor, and if you're an institutional investor, it might take longer than that. So before you invest in any company, always make sure to look at the volume that's being traded, and never invest in a company that it trades a lot less volume-wise than whatever it is you want to buy in that day of that stock, because what will happen is you'll push it up, and then you'll be a stuck holder. It's tough to get out. It's tough to get out when people are being emotional and selling everything. The second lesson I would say in 2008 is Dale Carnegie had this great quote. He said that realize that in business, quite often people are creatures of emotion and not creatures of logic. And I think a lot of people panicked, and I was short the market too in '08, whatever. But Warren Buffett was probably the smartest one because I think it was November of '08. He started backing up the truck. He bought Goldman Sachs preferred, and you got to be very long-term focused. You know, Warren Buffett said the longer the view, the wiser the intention. And when I used to work at Goldman Sachs, they used to say, always be long-term greedy. And so you got to see crisis as an opportunity. Otherwise, you won't make a lot of money. If you buy the same stock that everybody else buys, then there's not many incremental investors to push that stock higher. Right? So you got to be a contrarian and be, as Warren Buffett said, greedy when others are fearful, and fearful when others are greedy. Another lesson is don't put too much money in one bank. Okay. And in every country in the world, almost every country, actually, I've looked into it, your government will actually insure a certain dollar amount in your bank. Okay. And so let's just say, hypothetically speaking, that in whatever country you're in, the government will insure up to $10,000 in a bank. What you do then is you never have more than $10,000 cash in one bank ever again. You have it in multiple banks. In the United States, I think it's $250,000 now. Is the FDIC the insurance rate that governments will provide, the U.S. government will provide. It's different in different countries. I think Australia, it's 160,000 U.S. I can't remember. But make sure that you understand if your money is insured. Another big lesson is cash is the worst investment you can make in the long run. It's just awful. It really, really is. And I know that short term in the U.S. at least in 2008, the American dollar was strong because it was a flight to quality, and many people in other countries with currencies that maybe weren't relatively as strong bought U.S. dollars, kind of like they bought gold as a flight to quality. But investing in fiat currencies, and whenever you hear the word fiat, it means paper currency. Investing in fiat or currency is the worst investment you'll ever make because you don't have any control over how much a government is going to print of that currency. And so history repeats itself. Like after World War I, the German economy was in rough shape. And so they made a lot of Deutschmarks. That was their currency before they went on the euro. And they printed tons of Deutschmarks. And so what happened is they printed too many. And the Deutschmark was worthless. And you can do a search online on this, it's fascinating. People would actually show up literally with wheelbarrows full of Deutschmarks, worthless cash, to the market to buy a loaf of bread. And kids would play with them and make houses out of them. And they use it as wallpaper as well. And I've got a bunch here I bought on eBay for dirt cheap for an exhibit in one of my MBA degree program courses. You can get them. They're cheap. And you always want to get exhibits when you're giving a presentation, because nobody else does. And it's like show and tell, and people will love and they'll pay attention. It's more fun for you as well. You can visualize something. And then after the presentation, you could sell it back on eBay. So think of it like it's a 5% holding fee. But history repeats itself. And in the fall of 2008, Zimbabwe's currency, the daily inflation rate was literally 98%. And I have literally a $1 trillion Zimbabwe note. It's a bill. It's worthless. I got it from eBay, but it's tragic. It's tragic. And that happened in a lot of countries. And history repeats itself more recently too. 10 years later, in the fall of 2018, the Venezuelan government, the fuerte, which ironically is Spanish for the word strong, the fuerte currency, the daily inflation rate was predicted to literally, this is crazy, literally be 1,000,000% by the IMF. So what happened was to clean the slate entirely, the Venezuelan government, they got rid of the currency entirely. And you can actually go to eBay and buy tons of the currency. And it looks beautiful, the Venezuelan fuerte, nice and colorful, like Monopoly money, but more legit. It's like Canadian money, I guess. But no, history repeats itself. So don't ever have cash only. Don't ever have cash. Like make sure that you invest, and don't just invest in your own country. Like if you're in America, you want to invest globally as well, just given geopolitical risk. Everybody should invest overseas. And the best way to invest overseas, and I'll show you this actually, this is a lot of fun. What you can do is, and don't ever buy mutual funds because they're a scam. That's right, they are. And because the fees are ridiculously high. So what I recommend doing actually, see if I can go to Yahoo Finance here, is you can type in, I don't want to read the news today, it's depressing, but you can actually type in a ticker for a country and buy that country's index. So EWZ is for Brazil. So if you buy the EWZ, which is very liquid, look today so far, it's already traded 23 million shares times $46. That's a high volume. What you find out here is that you're holding a bunch of great Brazilian companies like Petrobras, which is petroleum Brazil. And you can find out the holdings right here. And interestingly enough, Brazil is just like Canada and just like Australia in that they're a natural resources rich economy. And that means when resources go up a lot in prices like oil, etc., then so do the currencies of the Brazilian real, the Australian dollar, and the Canadian dollar. Okay, it's because what happens to the Chinese government when they want to buy a lot of commodities, for example, from Canada, they'll have to convert from Chinese renminbi into Canadian dollars and then buy oil. That drives up demand for the dollar there. A little off topic, but interesting. And then the reason I love these ETFs in general is because the fees are low. Look at this. The expense fee on the EWZ is 0.59% per year. That's really, really low compared to mutual funds where it's 3, 4, or 5%. Mutual funds are a ripoff, and 90% of them underperform ETFs, exchange traded funds. Okay, it's a scam. It really is a scam. So why do people invest in mutual funds? Because that's the way people have invested for years, and people don't like to break tradition. Also, they have very strong unions, or lobbyists, I should say, lobbies, not unions, and great advertising budgets. They're really good at it. And they've got these big corporate relationships as well. Just buy ETFs, trust me. Okay, I'm not telling you exactly what to buy here, but I'm trying to teach you how to fish instead of giving you a fish. Let's look at more ETFs. This is fun. Let's look at EWC, which is EWC is Canada, I thought. Did I type that wrong? Yeah. It's Canada, right? And so as I mentioned, Canada is a natural resource rich economy. and a financial services-based economy too. There's 6 big banks there. So if we go down here and look at the holdings here in Canada, you can see it's the big banks: Royal Bank Canada, TD. This is a pipeline company, Scotiabank. And then you've got down here Suncor, an oil company, another energy company, and then, of course, insurance company, another bank here. Yeah. So you can also buy ETFs for individual sectors. So the OIH is the Oil Services Index. So if you want to buy a basket of I don't know, kind of cool oil service companies, you can do that right here. And here it includes Transocean, which has got the coolest the coolest ticker ever, which is RIG. It's kind of cool. And a bunch of other, like Schlumberger, Halliburton, etc. Or if you want to buy commodities, say you want to buy gold, don't buy gold bars because you don't know if they're real. What you can do instead is you can buy GLD, and it's obviously very liquid, trades a lot. And this is for gold shares, right? And then here we can go to the profile. You'll pay a little fee, 0.4% per year, which is nothing. It's actually pretty good. It's pretty good, yeah. And it's very, very liquid. You can buy silver as well if you want to. It keeps completing me there. Silver, there it is, SLV, yeah. Yeah, and don't pay for software. You don't need Bloomberg software. When I ran my hedge fund, I used to spend thousands of dollars every month on Bloomberg software. Don't waste your money. I switched over to Yahoo Finance. You get everything here, options even, everything, dude. And it's free and it's real time as well. Yeah, that's the wonderful thing about the internet and competition, which is great for the consumer. There are now great alternatives to Bloomberg and other products as well. Okay, cool. So yeah, and there's ETFs for basically everything. You want to buy an index for the S&P 500, you can buy the spiders they call it. So this here is a representation of all 500 stocks in the S&P 500. You can also buy the Qs, which is the NASDAQ. You go here, Qs. That's what the traders call it. They call it Qs because it's 3 Qs. They're too lazy to say QQQ. And this is, I think it's all the tech holdings in the NASDAQ, not including biotechs. I might be wrong, not sure. But anyway, bottom line is don't waste your money on mutual funds, please. Buy exchange traded funds instead. The fees are much, much lower. But make sure that you are cognizant of liquidity as well before you invest in any stock, which is a big lesson that we all learned from 2008. And if you have follow-up questions based on this, please let me know. And thanks as always. All right. I feel great this morning, man. All right. Oh, your follow-up question on the next crisis. Sometimes it's a black swan that causes a crisis. You can't predict it. By black swan, I'm referencing a book by Taleb, who's the guy that wrote Fooled by Randomness, wonderful book. And a black swan is a rare event because you never see black swans. And just like the event in 2008 was a black swan, right? It was just so rare, kind of like 9/11. It was just a black swan. Obviously you can't predict that awful thing, but I think what happens is whatever causes the next sell-off, and when it does happen and when people freak out, I always back up the truck. I buy stocks because they're on sale. And like Warren Buffett said, the New York Stock Exchange is the only store in the world where consumers sell stuff when it goes on sale. Think about that. So I think the next crisis will probably occur from some major geopolitical event, which you can't forecast. And that's why I love to be very, very long-term focused. In fact, Warren Buffett, before he invests in any stock, he assumes the market is going to be closed for 10 years. For 10 years, yeah. So I got these pedals set up now on my computer. I'm trying to play around with them so I can change camera angles. Look at that. Isn't that cool? It's fun. Anybody can do it. All you do is you just, when you get pedals and you want to work faster and get more stuff done, what you can do is you buy pedals, which I have down here below, and you hook them up to your USB port in your computer, and your computer just thinks it's a keyboard. And you can map those keys, and you can create little, quick keys as well. So if you're working on something and you always have to hit a certain function, whatever, even Control S for save, you can map that to one of your foot pedal things if you want. I know, a little bit out there, And they do click though. They make a clicking noise. So what I did was I created a box, and I'll just show you the top of the box. This is it here, where I put my feet in. This is just soundproof stuff, kind of a hack job, MacGyver. So you don't hear the clicking as well. So I've set up a bunch of them. I'm always trying to. I'm a productivity nerd. I'm trying to always be more productive, and it's fun too. It's fun to create. And for those of you that ever have to do an interview online, what you can do is this: you can actually have a teleprompter in front of you. You can buy really cheap ones online, and you can hook up the teleprompter to your laptop, create a PowerPoint presentation on a bunch of slides on whatever it is you're trying to sell, and you can click with your feet on the next slide. Go back slide, next slide. And they won't know you're reading, which is pretty cool. Anyway, it's kind of fun. All right. Next up, Kunan is saying, sir, no, call me Chris, please. Which job do you think in the field of finance will be a good start for a 19-year-old boy? Now, that's me. You wrote, when I start my career, maybe in 3 or 4 years. Currently, I want to be an investment banker. Yeah. So a lot of people want to be investment bankers, and they don't know what that means in terms of your lifestyle. You know, it's people think, oh, it's so glamorous to be an investment banker. I'm sorry. But it's not a glamorous life. It's awful. If you're going to do it for a couple of years and then move on, because your health will suffer. I've had a lot of friends that did it, and they're like, oh my God, look how much money I make. Yeah, but dude, you work like 100 hours a week. So you make the same much per hour as everybody else that works 40 hours a week. And you have no life, and you're not happy. You can make a lot of money if you make partner or you're senior, but you kind of give up your soul. You know, it takes a toll on you as well. And don't ever have children if you're an investment banker. Just quit and then have kids, whatever. It's long hours. And I had a buddy that worked. I had a buddy that worked in investment banking, Harvard Business School, and he was told, it was at Goldman, whatever. It's not Goldman's fault, but it is what it is. He was told that he was making PowerPoint presentation and doing photocopying after he spent all this money on an HBS degree. 2/3 of HBS is BS. And I remember he said, okay, if the managing director asked me to move this little bubble, this little circle here, Venn diagram thing on this PowerPoint one more time, even a millimeter, I'm quitting. And I'm printing this out, Chris, and I'm putting this up here in my cube. And the managing director, when he met with him, said, do you mind moving this circle here 1 millimeter to the left? He was like, that's it, I'm done. It's a true story. It's funny though. But just be careful. It's not as glamorous as you think it is. And if you're a junior employee there, it's pretty rough. It's rough. But what I would say is that the people that rise to the top in investment banking, not only are they great politicians, and now I understand why so many successful politicians come out of Goldman Sachs. That wasn't a knock on Goldman. I love Goldman. I'm very proud I worked there. But no, if you want to make partner or senior as an investment banker, or any finance role or any company, really, you have to be a great salesperson. You know, that's what a partner is in any firm, a law firm, an investment bank, a venture capital firm, a CEO. It's a great salesperson. And most jobs in finance are sales oriented. Most of them are. And so I think that if you start your career in finance, I think that if you work in equity sales or you work as a private wealth manager, and you don't like it, that's okay, because you're getting great sales experience. And without mastering sales, or at least enjoying and being comfortable in front of others, you'll never make it huge. You'll never reach your full potential. So if you're still confused what to do after that, let me be intellectually honest and give you the positive side of investment banking. Okay. So if you're not sure what to do career-wise, some people like to work in what's called an origination role. What does that mean? Well, if you make the product and then you decide you hate making the product, you can always move on to selling the product or trading the product or doing marketing for the product. I'll give you examples. So investment banking, what you're doing is you're creating the product, the IPO product or M&A stuff. You're creating it. And you learn how to thoroughly create it and you do financial modeling like a rock star. And because you understand how to create it, if you hate your job, because you thoroughly understand it, you could probably sell it easily. You can go into sales within finance. You can probably go into marketing within finance. You can probably go into operations within finance, etc. Let's talk about consulting industry now. If you're not sure what you want to do, consulting might be a good industry to join as well. Because in consulting, you're creating corporate strategy. And if you learn how to create corporate strategy within firms like McKinsey or Accenture, sorry, that was an accident. Yeah, I used to work there, great company. Don't sue me. You create the product. And so after you create that strategy product, you can probably sell the product, market the product, do operations of the product, etc. And you can move on from there. That's why a lot of people that start their careers in consulting go on to do great things, like Lou Gertzner, who worked at IBM and turned around IBM. It was amazing. And he wrote this great book called Who Said Elephants Can't Dance. Lou Gertzner worked at McKinsey initially before he went to go to IBM, which is industry's biggest mistake. Just kidding. IBM, which stands for I've Been Moved, or Itty Bitty Machines. No, he turned around IBM. But it was good that he worked in consulting first. A lot of even Benjamin Netanyahu, Bibi, people don't realize he used to work at the Boston Consulting Group. A lot of politicians have as well. So consulting is kind of a good place to start a career as well. Just be careful with consulting though, because a lot of times it's like the army. You go to where the war is. Of course, it's overseas or whatever. I don't know. And the same thing with consulting. It's like an army. Like you'll learn process, regimented stuff, but they'll send you out of town, whatever. And it's fun when you're younger. And I did it a lot when I was at Accenture, and they sent me to the Carolinas to work on the merger of Nations Bank and Bank of America. They sent me to Barbados, which was fun, to set up an offshore bank for CIBC, which stands for Constantly in Bed with Consultants. I got to stop this bad humor today. I'm sorry. But it was tough though, because I traveled a lot. And I remember when I first met Christine, my wife, I thought, oh my God, this is the one. She's amazing. And then I was sent out of town for like ever. I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. And that almost destroyed the relationship. Well, early on, right? So I flew back a lot though. And obviously it's the best decision I ever made. Yeah. Or she made, hopefully, whatever. She's way out of my league. So that's origination. Oh, another example of origination is if you work as a programmer. Like at Google, and I'll just speak for Google, but the corporate culture there is such that, and I hope I don't offend anyone saying this, but it's hierarchical kind of. Like if you're an engineer there, you're a rock star. And then there's everybody else, which are obviously very important employees as well. But if you're an engineer in general and you're a programmer and you create the product, or a hardware engineer, you create the product, because you thoroughly understand how to create that product, you can probably sell that product or move on to marketing that product or do operations for that product, etc. The bottom line message here is that if you're not sure what you want to do with your career, you can always start off in an origination role, right? Making the product, like I guess investment banking or consulting or programming, etc. Okay, well, next one is Kunal is saying, if you could erase your memory for one particular movie and a moment from your life to watch and relive it again, which would it be? This is interesting. If you could erase your, and by the way, speaking of movies, y'all got to check out that movie, the poster on the wall there. It's Tucker, A Man in His Dreams. It's actually my favorite business movie now. And it's about this dude that tried to create this car here, and he was like the Elon Musk of the times, I guess, not from a clean tech perspective, but just from an innovation, positive attitude perspective. He wasn't successful, but it was because the big three automakers, one of them lobbied against him and was corrupt. And there should have been a Senate hearing about that, but whatever, it is what it is. But watch that movie if you can. It's emblematic of how to sell and how to have a positive attitude and how to have fun in business as well. Best business movie ever. But your question here is, and I am buying time because I'm thinking of the answer. And that's what teachers do. It's like teachers will sometimes repeat the question so they can buy time and think of the answer. So the question was, if you could erase from your memory for one particular movie and a moment from your life to watch and relive again, what would it be? Okay, so I guess that's two questions. So I guess the movie I'd erase from my mind is Tucker, so I can watch it again and have that euphoric feeling, feel it deep down inside. When I watched that movie for the first time, and how Jeff Bridges was so positive all the time, and he sung this song called "Hold That Tiger" in that movie, and that was kind of his get me in a good mood ringtone. And for my MBA students that are on the watching this webcast as well, in our first SMC class, or Sales Marketing Communication class, one of the silly little optional exercises was for you to get a ringtone to get you into that feel good mood for when you're selling, or pick me up. And so for me, actually, that feel good mood is by the ringtone from Imagine Dragons. Welcome to the New Age. I love that. And I think of it whenever I hear my phone ring or the alarm go on. I think welcome to the new you. And it kind of gets me into a peak mental state. So make sure you go out today on your Android handset or iPhone and buy a damn ringtone for $1 or whatever it is. It's a tiny investment. It's worth it to get you in a peak mental happy state all the time. So that's the movie that I would recommend checking out. And I'm actually in a really good mood just thinking of Jeff Bridges now in that movie. That guy's a great actor. He's amazing. In terms of one moment I could relive again, it would probably be, and for those of you who have kids, you'll understand what I'm saying. And for those of you who don't have kids, this will get you really excited. The first time you hold your first kid, the second your child is born, you unlock an incredible amount of happiness and euphoria that you never thought you could experience. It's like a legalized drug. It's unbelievable. It's like all the serotonin in your brain kicks in times 1 billion. That happiness you get when you hold your child for the first time is something I wish I could relive over and over and over again. And of course, I feel the same way about my other kids as well. But you'll know what I mean. And I want to pivot now and talk about how to get that feeling again. So if you get out of bed in the morning and you tell yourself you're going to work, then with all due respect, you're doing it wrong. You got to find your raison d'être. What was the reason you were put on this earth? And Mark Twain said the two most important days in your life are, number 1, the day you're born, and number 2, the day you find out why. Now, if you get out of bed every morning and you do what you love doing, then you don't have a job. And as Confucius said, find an occupation you love, and you'll never have a job for the rest of your life. And what happens is when you're self-employed or you work for somebody else, whatever, but you love doing what you're doing, you feel the same euphoria. Not as good as holding your child, but a little bit of lightning in the bottle. A little bit. And that's why I'm always very passionate about trying to help my students do something that they love doing. Because what's the point of getting up every day for the rest of your life doing something you can't stand? What's the point? And I get it. We have to make money and provide for a family. I get it. But while you're doing that, try to create a side hustle or find something you're more passionate about so that you can get out of bed every morning in a peak mental state and love doing what you're doing and live your life on your own terms. All right. Okay, and here somebody's saying, and Kunal, thank you so much for that question. You got me into a good mood, a gooder mood, as my kids say. So Kunal is saying, Paytm in India will go public in 5 years. Cool. Is that a payment processor? I'm not familiar with them. Sorry. And why is it that so many amazing payment companies come out of Ireland? You know what I mean? Like Stripe and all these great companies. I think maybe one of the reasons is not just because of the brilliance of the engineers that grew up in Ireland, but also because Ireland has this favorable tax treaty where foreign companies only pay 11 or 11.5% taxes. That's why Intel opened a fab there years ago. Yeah. All right. Lucky is saying, when you say generate leads, if I'm right, it means I should use content type of marketing by creating content on social media, getting viewers and converting them to customers in the long run. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's one way to generate leads. And I think that YouTube is the biggest gold rush opportunity in history because YouTube is actually it's the only gold rush in history where it costs you nothing to make the product. And it's the only gold rush opportunity in history where you get access to billions of potential customers immediately for free. And so that's why I believe that right now we're kind of in the we're in the golden age of content. And I think we're all going to look back 10 years from now and say, I wish I created a lot more content. Yeah. To the extent that, and I don't do it because of that. Like, I love what I do. This is fun. But every video I make, I think of it like it's a little coffee shop, a little franchise. And eventually each one of those will make, 5 or 6 figures. Yes, it's a crazy thing to say, but that's what I believe. And you got to be very long-term focused. And I got to quote the greatest hockey player in history, Wayne Gretzky. I wouldn't be a real Canadian if I didn't quote him. Wayne Gretzky said the reason why he was successful was not because he skated to where the puck is, but rather because he skated to where the puck is going to be. And so you always want to invest in companies that people are going to like, right? If you invest in a stock that everybody already likes, who's the incremental investor to push it higher? There aren't that many. And by the same token, when it comes to your content creation structure or strategy there, you got to kind of think longer term like that. This is the golden age. And it's so interesting. I'm seeing the bifurcation of society when it comes to video consumption. The younger generation, like I watch my kids, and if you have kids, you got to observe how they absorb information and what technology platforms they use, because that's kind of a good indication of what's coming next. But a lot of younger people, they grew up YouTube, and that's what they watch. They watch YouTube. That's all they watch. And because of that, they're much more positive people, I think, rather than watching the breaking news. And I don't want to. News drives me nuts, right? I try to avoid it. It puts me in a crappy mood. But kids that have grown up with YouTube, it's almost like they're getting this and have received this digital marketing MBA by watching all these happy-go-lucky people who have positive attitudes that teach them, 1, how to create content, 2, how to leverage technology, and 3, how to deliver in an engaging way. These are great skills that the younger generation is learning right now. And the older generation doesn't get it. They don't watch YouTube as much. They're when I say older generation, I talk about my generation and older. So I don't get in trouble here. They're more negative. They watch the news. And the reason why the news is so damn negative all the time is because the big media companies, they're scared. They're scared that, oh my God, this younger generation, all they watch is YouTube. What do we do? How can we stay relevant? Oh, I know. We'll create kind of like clickbait shock value. Little things like you're watching television on TV, obviously on TV, you're watching a news program where they say, we'll tell you why the world is going to end after this commercial break. You know what I mean? It kind of hooks you in. No, when I was younger, even I was around my parents that watched 60 Minutes, and guilty as charged, I watched it too. But now, like my kids, they don't hang around the couch when I'm watching 60 Minutes or whatever it is. They're usually awful to say, and I try to limit this, but they're curled up on their bed watching their iPhone, watching YouTube and stuff. But I think that YouTube is and watching these happy-go-lucky people on YouTube is a good thing for kids. And that's why the younger generation is so positive. I can tell you, man, for a fact, a lot of people are freaking out today for obvious reasons with the news. And yes, I do care deeply about this world and this country. But there's a whole generation of people that don't even know about this news, and they're going about their days, and they're happy. It's because they're choosing their environment. Like when you watch too much of the news, like too much, it's like the sky is falling all the time. And I find that my friends and relatives that aren't working or aren't doing that much, whatever, teach their own, sometimes they're more negative because they watch a lot of TV and they're like, oh my God, the world is ending. What do you think of this article I'm sending to you? I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, it might impact stocks in the short run, and kind of hope it does, because then I'll buy more stocks. All right, but Lucky, you've got to own your market. You got to produce content, like create videos, write LinkedIn articles, and be a thought leader. Be a thought leader. And how do you become a thought leader? You think like a leader. You create content, and eventually everyone will read your content and think, oh, this person knows what they write a lot. They must be an expert. Yeah. Next up is Maël is saying, Papiou is saying, and if I mispronounce anyone's name, please let me know. Thank you. Hi, Chris. I'm 16 years old, and I'm French. Welcome to the call. So you liked it when I said you got to know what your raison d'être is. My French is awful. I try, though. And you wrote, I took some of your courses, the financial analyst course, the MBA course, the public speaking course, and I just love it. Thanks a lot, from France. Thank you. God bless you for that. Thank you so much for saying that. I appreciate it. And 16, that's amazing. That's amazing. Wow. That's great. No, thanks, dude. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. It's awesome. And I have, I think I made my MBA course in French language as well. And I had one of my former MBA students in one of the universities I taught at do it. I think he did a good job as well. It's in French as well. Yeah. Now, the language, the MBA course, like I made it in 12 different languages, my entire MBA in one course. The language that's not doing well at all, yeah, I failed big time, is Hindi. And I think because a lot of my my viewers in India, there's two reasons. Number one, they kind of business English is what they're interested in, at least some of my viewers. And number two, dude, it was so awful. Like, I'm such an idiot. But when I released the course in Hindi, I used Final Cut Pro in this product called Sugar to burn in the captions. And for those of you not familiar with Hindi, it's this beautiful script where it looks like a lot of the letters at the top are attached like a big T. And I thought that the person that did the subtitles or captions made a mistake. And so I actually separated all those little letters so that they weren't touching each other. And people were so nice. I didn't get any negative reviews, but people were so nice. They said, Chris, I just want to let you know, I love your content, but I can't read it. It doesn't make sense. And I was like, oh, the T's are too far away from each other. And so anyway, I failed over and over and over again. That's why I somehow succeed sometimes. And I'm looking for my Michael Jordan poster. And I have a student actually in my MBA degree program named Michael Jordan at Elcock. And every time he speaks or asks a question, which is a lot, he's a good dude, I open this thing up here. And I got this done, by the way, on Etsy, etsy.com. I'm not compensated by anybody ever. I just, whatever. But, and I recommend you get a quote on your wall as well. It looks kind of nice as well, or a poster, whatever it is. Or you could be like Solly, who's from Lithuania. He's on this call right now, where he puts up a lot. He puts Post-it notes up everywhere on his wall, his goals and stuff. And I have another student who's also my MBA degree program, brilliant man, named Dante. And Dante is he's in Canada. He's in Ottawa right now, but he's moving to Europe. But Dante actually puts quotes on his ceiling. So, and you can do this until you're married. But he'll be sleeping and he'll wake up, and the first thing he sees are awesome quotes on the ceiling, which is wonderful. What a great way to wake up. And my morning ritual when I wake up is I don't get out of bed until I thank God for 10 things. And it's usually exactly this, in this order. I thank God for Christine, Andrew, Matthew, Dylan, my mom, my dad, my sisters, Katie, Elizabeth, my brother, Jamie, and my students. Yeah. Although I do say it kind of, it's like with prayer or anything you repeat, if you repeat it over and over again, sometimes you just memorize it, you don't really absorb it. So I should probably switch up that order every now and then. Yeah. All right. Next up is, thank you, Mel, for being here. Appreciate it. Thank you. God bless you. Abhinav is saying, hello, Chris. Hey, man. Do you think it's worth doing an MBA to learn about finance and accounting, or just start a business and learn along the way? Yeah. So I would say that, so finance and accounting is one of the parts of business that's not common sense. It's like a language. You have to learn it. You have to learn the basics. So I would make sure you understand finance and accounting from a high level perspective. And I had, I'm going to show you a prop I've got here. Hold on. But when you study finance and accounting, I want you to understand it thoroughly. And this is a prop I'm using for one of my MBA degree, my students' course I'm making right now on finance. This is a balance sheet I bought. I think it's originally from China. It's an antique I bought online on eBay for dirt cheap. And the scales are over there. But I try to teach things in such a way that it's visual and it's fun and entertaining and edutaining. And by the way, for those of you that have watched this entire webcast so far, I am using AR, augmented reality, and that Adobe Aero app to try to figure a way on this scale for the balance sheet, assets equals liabilities plus equity, to put my Tucker car here virtually, and then other items here to make it balance. Okay, so I'm working on that right now. But the reason I bring this up is because you have to thoroughly understand and enjoy finance and accounting and read financial statements like a good book. And the only way you're going to do that is not by memorizing formulas and stuff. It gets boring fast, dude. You got to understand it. Like why, and question everything, like challenge everything, as Sega used to say in their slogan. But you got to understand why things are called what they're called. Always. You got to be intellectually curious about it all the time. And the reason is because if you understand why things are called what they're called, you'll never forget. So a balance sheet is called a balance sheet because what you own is on this side and it has to balance with who owns that thing. So everything is owned by either you, somebody else, a bank, or a government, whatever. And so, for example, a car goes here. This is asset you own. And on the other side is who owns that? Well, half of this $10 car is owned by the Bank of Toyota. Okay, so that's $5 on the other side. We're still not balanced. And the other half is owned by you, right? So you own $5 worth of it. So it balances. Assets has to equal liabilities plus equity. So I try to visualize everything, and it's just a much more fun way to teach, right? Otherwise it gets boring, you know? So I reckon, and I got a D in accounting the first time I took it. And you're probably thinking, why the hell are you teaching, Chris, then? And I got a D, it was at McGill University. And it was the summer of 1991. I was at my parents' cottage, my buddy Peter Agard, and we were hungover. We had too much rum the night before. And I remember I called up MARS, which is McGill Automated Registration Service, to get my grade. And you had to wait a while to get grades back then. And it said, your grade in accounting 101 is D. You failed, fucker. No, it didn't say that part. But it said, I got to be careful with that. It said I got a D. And I thought my life was over. I'll never forget. I was hungover. And I was like, oh my God, my life is over. I'm never going to make it now. But I failed over and over and over again. That's why I've kind of succeeded. I learned the wrong way how to not learn accounting, so to speak. If that's a double negative, I don't know. But just understand, and I took it again, I got a little bit better than a D. But just understand everything. Always understand everything. Question everything. Everything. It's more interesting to learn that way. So, like, for example, speaking of cars, speaking of Tucker, great movie, you got to see it. You got to, like, if you're a mechanic, whatever, you got to question everything. You got to kind of think, or if you're a car buff, why do they call it a glove compartment? Because people used to wear gloves when they drove. Why do they call it the trunk? Because people used to put a real trunk on the back, And then why do they call it shotgun? That's just because I'm not going to go there for hunting animals years ago. But I think if you challenge everything and you're just intellectually curious about everything, then you'll learn a lot more. And so for me, I can't watch TV or a movie without having this or an iPad on my lap. I can't, because I'm always so curious. I'll go to IMDb. It's like, oh, what movie was she in before? Oh, that's her. Or I'll be watching Solo, that movie, Han Solo. I'm like, God, she looks familiar. God, who is she? Oh, that's right. She was in Game of Thrones, right? Dothrakian or whatever. Yeah. Or whatever you're learning about anything in business, go to Wikipedia and learn more about that company. It's fascinating. Or how did that company get started? Or why do they call that product that? That sort of thing. Or why in accounting is it called a balance sheet? So think about it that way. It's fascinating. So anyway, it's a different way to learn, but it's fun. All right. Jesse is saying very impressive work. Thank you, Jesse. Appreciate it. Now I got that Rick Springfield song in my head, Jesse's Girl. My favorite baseball player growing up was Jesse Barfield. I follow him on Twitter. He followed me back. He follows like 30,000 people, whatever, but it's a big deal to me. And then Snoop, there it is saying city skylines will take over your life if you like SimCity. I love it, dude. I love SimCity. I love it. You know what, dude? Like I was going to make this course for my son on how you can learn business using video games like Minecraft. You can kind of learn how to construct walls or Clash of Clans, construct walls and save money and gems and all that stuff. But SimCity is how I learned about bonds and banking. Because in SimCity, if you run out of money, you got to issue a bond, to build new stuff. So I learned about bonds from SimCity, and it's killing me because I'm trying my best to put a little clip in of SimCity into one of my courses. I'm doing an economics class for 2020 for my MBA degree students. I'm working on it now. And I want to talk about municipal bonds. And of course, I have real municipal bond examples that I showed you guys my class before. But I want to show SimCity. And I can't because it drives me crazy. But Catalina, the new Mac operating system upgrade, doesn't allow you to run 32-bit applications. And so the company affiliated with Electronic Arts is trying to make a 64-bit version of SimCity. It's coming soon, I think. Yeah, kills me. I won't be able to play Age of Empires either. I love that game. Okay. And then Kartik is saying, what do you do when you feel frustrated and you're not achieving your goals in life? Yeah. So what I would say is just go on a long walk. Like Steve Jobs used to do this every day in the afternoon. And when you go on a long walk, what happens is it releases serotonin and endorphins. So this works better, and then this can think better as well. And while you go on that long walk by yourself, I want you to write down what your 10-year goals are. I want you to write it down because it's statistically proven that if you write down your goals, the probability of them coming true goes up materially. And I'll share a cool story with you in a minute. But write down those goals, okay, 10-year goals. And then what I want you to do is I want you to keep those goals in your Android handset or your iPhone in a calendar entry and have it repeat daily. Make it private if you want. If you have a corporate cell phone, do not do that. In fact, if you're given a corporate cell phone, buy another one if you can for yourself that looks exactly the same, because a corporation can fire you based on whatever they want to do by looking at emails or whatever it is. Always have two that look the same. Don't tell anybody though. Yeah. And also if you're at work and you're working late one night and you work for some douche that believes in FaceTime and you can't be around your family, then use your other cell phone to create a Wi-Fi hotspot. Then let's do a gap analysis. There's a gap. How do you get close to your goals? How do you do it? Maybe you go to LinkedIn and find people that have achieved what you want to achieve and find out how they did it. What did they do? Fill that gap. Maybe you find out who's a rock star to you in business, like a Sir Richard Branson or J.K. Rowling or whoever it is. How did they do it? Read their biographies. Listen to the audible version of their biographies or autobiographies to fill that gap. But just document your goals. Write down your goals and reassess life as well. Make sure that your goals include not just money crap. More importantly, happiness things. Like, are you well balanced? That sort of thing. And if you find that you're not well balanced and you're having problems achieving things every day, then I want you to keep a daily schedule. And I want you to make your schedule the night before. And you can go to my website and download for free a schedule that I made that you can fill in every night before you go to bed, which will help you achieve your goals for the next day. And you can go to, it's harounventures.com/ all lowercase, ready? harounventures.com/schedule. That's it. You can download it for free there. I don't ask for an email address or anything. So try that out as well, because that's basically daily mini goal setting, that whole methodology. Now, in terms of the story I want to mention, and some people say this is it's an urban legend, whatever. I don't care. It's an interesting story. So at Yale University, the class of 1950, a poll was taken. They were asked, how many of you have written down your goals? And only 3% had written down their goals. And then what happened was they went back to that same class. I think it was 20 years later in 1970. And they calculated the net worth of that class. And the 3% that had written down their goals had a greater net worth than the other 97% combined. It's a pretty cool story. So you got to write down your goals, and you got to update those goals often if you want to achieve them. And just the process of writing them down, it kind of makes you reinforce, what are you on this planet for? What do you want to achieve? And make sure your goals are happiness goals too. What will make me happy? And usually contributing to others and serving others and making a product that helps other people's lives be better can make you feel great about yourself as well. So try to create something along those lines if you can. Yeah. All right. And if you have follow-up questions based on that answer, please let me know. But I've been there, dude. I've been there. In Kartik, I published a vlog yesterday that I want you to watch. It's called the best advice I ever received. Watch that if you get a chance, please. It'll kind of make you reassess life and what to really focus on. Yeah. But I've been you have to understand also that a crisis is an opportunity and perception becomes reality. And so every time something happens to you career-wise, within reason, I want you to ask yourself, what's positive about this? If you get fired, you're like, what's positive about this? Well, a lot of other successful people got fired. Like Michael Bloomberg got fired. A lot of people got fired. Robert Redford, Madonna, a lot of amazing people. And they got fired because they weren't passionate about what they're doing. And thank God they got fired, because in hindsight, they might not have been as successful if they didn't get fired. It's a one way to look at it. It's like Jay-Z. Jay-Z could not get a recording contract with anybody. And so what he did, Jay-Z, I'm just going to turn off the AC here, is that Jay-Z started his own record label. Is he happy that he got turned down by so many record labels? Of course he is. He might not have started this wonderful company he has, or met Beyonce, or whatever it is. Yeah. So you got to look at things in a different way. And for me, I'll never forget. It was years ago. I got fired. I couldn't understand why. I made the company money, and I was friendly with everybody. And maybe my boss felt insecure. I don't know. And I called my dad. I was like, Dad, I don't know, man. Nothing's working for me. I think I'm a good person. I don't know. I'm doing my best. Why is this happening to me? And he said to me, I want you to read the book of Job, which is, it's from the Old Testament, which is the crux of many modern religions and the legal code too, the Ten Commandments. But the book of Job, which ironically, J-O-B is Job, was about this dude that nothing was going well for him. And then later on in life, he realized why he was sent down that path, and he was grateful. And so for me, religion aside, well, maybe not aside, I'm grateful to God. No, definitely not aside. I'm grateful to God for everything that's happened to me, because every perceived failure for me has just been me being guided down a different path to teach, I guess. And I wish I started teaching when I was a lot younger. It's fun. And when you do something you love doing, it's not work, and you're always crazy happy. It's fun, man. It's fun. In the most successful entrepreneurs in history, they never did it for the money. They did it because they enjoyed it. They love it. They love it. You can't change the world if you're not passionate about what you're doing. So find out what your passion is. And if I can humbly help you in any way, turn that into a business, let me know. Thank you. All right. Next up, Gabriel is saying, are you familiar with the reflexivity theory? I can't even say it. I get the concept, but how it is used in practice, I don't know what that means. Sorry. But if you want, you can provide me with a one-liner on what it is, and I'll give you my humble thoughts, if any, on that. Thanks. All right. Kartik is saying, is it true we should keep a 10-year window while investing? I think so. I remember there was this analyst, Jason, that worked for me years ago. Really smart guy, great guy. I miss him. He's still with us, but I've been working hard. I haven't seen him that much. He's family though. And I remember at my hedge fund, I used to tell him, give me a stock that you want to invest for the long run. And he'd give me a stock and I'd say, what about volatility? And his response was brilliant. And he's the guy who I got that saying from. Pitbull on a pork chop. It's from him, Jason Chu. He said to me, Chris, with this stock, I don't know the path, but I know the destination. And it was such a brilliant saying. And I love that guy so much, but he's so right. Like who cares about this? Just care about this, where it's going to be in the long run. And Warren Buffett, he famously said when he buys a stock, he always thinks that the stock market's going to be closed for 10 years. The longer the view, the wiser the intention. Just always think long term. And do you know why you don't know the names of any successful day traders? Because they don't exist. All right. And Vinay is saying, please tell us about LAS, loans against shares, and what happens if we overuse it. I'm not familiar with that term, loans against shares, at all. But maybe that refers to leverage, meaning if you own a lot of stocks, you can borrow money against it. And I've done it a lot in the past. Don't do it though, dude. It can be disastrous. Don't use leverage. Unless you talk to a sophisticated investor, can help you kind of use option strategy to kind of do risk management in your portfolio. I do teach about shorting in one of my hedge fund courses on Udemy. But I recommend that instead of using leverage, if you're tempted to do that stuff, play around with options, because the most you can lose with options is whatever you paid for the option, right? Unlike shorting stocks, which is another story there, the loss is infinite. Yeah. I wouldn't use leverage if that's what you're talking about. If that's not what you're talking about, please let me know. And I paid for my entire wedding on margin, every penny myself, back in 2000. It was a big wedding, 250 people too. And then Christine and I, my wife, we were on our 6-week honeymoon all over Southeast Asia. And I got a margin call when I was in Hong Kong because I used leverage. It was fine. I was okay, but still, that was a painful day. But a fun honeymoon. It's great. And you only get married once. And by the way, for those of you getting married soon and you're going to go on a honeymoon and you're like, oh, I don't know if I should take a honeymoon. It's going to cost a lot of money. Dude, just go all out. You're never going to get that chance again. Just go all out. Yes, take on a bit of debt as well for that. A bit, not too much, but you know what I mean. And if you're thinking, should I do 2 weeks or 3 weeks? I'm not sure. Do 4 weeks. Just whatever it takes. Borrow the money from family, whatever it is. Just do it. Because the problem is, like, I travel a lot. And it's so interesting when I go on bus tours. Tourist stuff. The people on those buses are either really, really young or really, really old. And when you're younger, before you have kids, you just get all the traveling out of the way, right? It's a great investment too to travel overseas, if you can afford it. I get it, but because it makes you more worldly, right? And you want to buy experiences and not things. And it's actually a great investment in yourself too, and your career, and your ability to sell and connect with people from different backgrounds, having traveled overseas. Yeah. The best way to learn about a culture, though, I think, is a destination wedding. And I went to a wedding 10 years ago. My best friend, Corey Pala from Toronto. He got married in Serbia to a wonderful woman. And oh my God, it was so much. I loved it. I had a great time. And that's where I learned about Nikola Tesla when I was in Belgrade. Yeah. Who is a bigger hero than Edison, that's for sure. Okay. Next, okay. Kartik is saying, how do you overcome imposter syndrome? I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. But I do know that, and I was teaching my MBA degree students that if you tell yourself 3 words, you can change your confidence immediately. And those 3 words are, I don't care, and then fill in the blank. I don't care what people think of my hair, which I dye a little too dark sometimes. I've been gracious in my 20s. It's okay though. I don't care what people think of my clothes. I don't care, blah, 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 whatever it is. Don't be rude or disingenuous, but just don't be anyone's prisoner in your mind. All right. And if I don't know what imposter syndrome is though, but if you want, you can give me more detail and I can humbly help if I can. Yeah, and you're saying are ETFs best in equity and growth funds? Yeah. So ETFs are exchange traded funds, as you know. We talked about it earlier today when I showed you in Yahoo Finance. Growth funds are so growth funds are they're mutual funds when people say that, which means stocks that are expensive but growing really fast. So it's kind of tough for me to answer that without looking at the particular investment class. I'm very much against mutual funds though, because of the ridiculously high fees. Yeah, and for those of you not familiar with growth funds, what that means, well, in investing, there's two classes of investors for the most part. You're either a value investor, which means you like to buy cheap stuff that's not growing fast, like Warren Buffett, or you're a growth investor, which means, like me, you like to buy things that are expensive, that are growing really, really fast, but one day they'll eventually be cheap. But this is more risky. And venture capitalists, like me, we like this stuff, and hedge funds too. And it's like religion, like they get animated, with each other and argue. And usually younger people are value investors because they're taught in school, hey, buy cheap stuff. And then I think when you get older, sometimes you become a growth investor. Depends, yeah. Oh, Asamina, how are you? Asamina, always great to hear from you. And Asamina actually sent me over LinkedIn a couple of great pictures. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I asked you all too for my green screen in the background. And I haven't had green screen up in a couple of weeks. But when I do go to the green screen, I'll definitely use those. It'll be fun to kind of have my audience, my students, my friends here have their backgrounds reflected. I'm getting all shiny now. It's getting hot. I got this new computer here, and it's heating up. Yeah. But Asamina, earlier on, I'm not sure if you're on the call, but and for those who are not familiar with Asamina, she works at Ryanair, a great discount Irish-based airline company. She lives in Belgium, I think, and you're originally from Greece. And she's making a video game, and level 1's going to be ready this month, December. But earlier on, Asamina, in the call, I showed an example of me creating a 3D model, which is ridiculously easy compared to the stuff you do when you make your video games. And then I showed how you can use the Adobe Aero app, which is free on here, to kind of show a 3D version, whatever. Yeah, pretty cool. All right. And then Kartik is saying, how do I improve my retention power? It seems that digitalization has reduced my concentration power. Yeah. I'm going to teach you all, I think you're in my class, on Monday. I'm going to teach you all a way to memorize things in a completely different way, so you'll never forget it. It's kind of silly. And if you go to the workbook for PG 1-3, Personal Growth first semester class number 3, you'll see that I have something called Decoded Pet. It looks ridiculous, but I'm going to teach you how to memorize stuff that way. And in terms of retaining more, it's hard though. Like I think that our brains are being kind of rewired, and I think it's a good thing. A lot of people hate change, and especially older people, they'll say, "Oh, I like the way it was before," and I had to walk uphill both ways to get a block of ice, and I read newspapers. I think it's a good thing because we're wired in such a way that we can get access to information immediately if we want to. A child in the middle of Africa, or any continent for that matter, today has faster access to information and access to more information using one of these things than Bill Clinton did in the 1990s. That's exciting. One of the drawbacks, though, is that our attention span has gone down a lot, especially when it comes to teaching. That's why I love using props too. And I used to be able to finish, 1,000-page books. I used to be able to sit down and read every single book from Ken Follett and Jeffrey Archer. Pillars of the Earth, a wonderful book by Ken Follett. I can't finish 5,000-word, articles anymore. I can't. Like I used to go to the New York Times and read everything that Thomas Friedman wrote. He's a brilliant man when it comes to the Middle East and stuff. I can't finish it anymore. And it's just because I think that we're so distracted by everything. But that's okay. what you can do if you want, I've tried this, is you can have screen-free Sundays in your house. No screens allowed. Impossible. We tried it last Sunday, and I had to play the new Call of Duty with my kids, right? You can turn off blood and gore and that. I'm not going to go there. Or when we go to dinner, my Christine, my kids, and I, these things have to be piled up in the middle, and then we eat. We try. Sometimes I break that covenant as well, but whatever. Yeah. But maybe you try to limit yourself, Kartik, if you can. Try to turn off certain technology products. I don't know. Yeah, it's tough. I'm guilty. I wish I could help there. And Kartik is saying, what is the first step I should take to become a businessman? I think write a business plan. Like, I think that for anybody working for somebody else, you should always be thinking about if you want to go down this route, starting your own company. I think you could start a lot of side hustles on the side until one takes off, that then you kind of quit and do your own thing. But if you want, but I think you got to write a business plan, and most people don't. And that's why one of the reasons why most companies fail. Failing to plan is planning to fail. And so as a first step, if you want, you can go to udemy.com and take my complete business plan course. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee with all my courses, always, except my complete job course, which is a lifetime guarantee. But take my complete business plan course, and it assumes you have no background in business. And I teach you everything about creating a business plan from scratch. All the finance stuff, all the qualitative, non-finance stuff, strategy stuff, etc. And every time you come up with an idea, go take that course. It's like 8 or 9 hours, and just create a business plan. And a lot of times I'll write a business plan. I won't finish it because I realize after a couple hours of writing it that it sucks. That's okay. I save myself a lot of heartache and money by doing that. So that's what I recommend doing. All right, Nasamina is saying, for the gold and silver, my parents have been working with those two for more than 38 years, and they have me a small box. Very cool. It's called a prika, right? A prika. Greek. It's Greek, right? Because Christine, I think, before she got married to me, she has this box. We still have it, actually. I think it's my wife is part Greek, a traditional Greek thing where you have a prika of just stuff your parents give you. It's kind of cool. Yeah. Fun. Yeah. Oh, the Aquahead is in the house. Michael from England. How are you, bud? Great to have you. And I hope your health is good. I know you mentioned before that. Yeah. Hope you're doing well, buddy. All right. Kartik is saying, how do you make habits automatic? Like we brush daily without even thinking. Yeah. So I set a lot of alarms here in my calendar. So it's automatic and get things done. So for example, at 1:13 p.m. today, this is going to go off to remind me that I've got my weekly, for MBA students only, weekly call. So I have a lot of alarms set up, but I also have my daily schedule written out every day, which I've talked about before or earlier in this call as well. And so you can always go to the website I mentioned before to get my daily schedule for free. And then after a while of documenting every day we're going to be doing, it becomes routine. Right? You just kind of get used to going to the gym or whatever, and you realize your life can't function with at least a little bit of exercise. Yeah, that sort of thing. But I actually, speaking of brushing teeth, or I think that's what you're implying there. I do morning and at night is whatever. What I do is I have this I'm such a nerd, but I have this internet-based toothbrush. It's called Oral-B, and I hook it up here. And it's probably not going to work because it doesn't sense anything. But what happens is, I map all of my days I brush my teeth and stuff, and this goes on my, focus is a little bit out there. This goes on my mirror. Okay, there's a little thing I clip it into, and you can see that's my teeth. That's actually my teeth there. And when I brush my teeth, it shows me if I've brushed enough in each area. So it's kind of like gamification. And if I push too hard, it turns red on whatever I push too hard. It senses it. And so brushing my teeth is kind of fun now too. And then I compete with myself as well to see how many days in a row I can do it the right amount of time, which is 2 minutes straight, okay, until I cover every single area with this Oral-B toothbrush thing. It's a good investment. Actually, it's a really good investment because you don't have to go to the dentist as much if you do this the right way, right? So, and I'm a nerd, it's fun as well. So it becomes gamification as well. And it uses your camera to sense that as well. And then you get achievements as well. You get little it's kind of like Fitbits, kind of fun. And it teaches you how to brush your tongue and other stuff as well. It's just, it's cool. It's fun. It's fun. Yeah. It's a good gift to get. It's a good gift to get. Sorry, speaking of getting distracted, something about a Christmas present I have to get. What was I talking about again? Oh yeah, it's a good gift to get your parents or your spouse or whatever it is, or yourself. You know, spoil yourself. I know it sounds crazy, like $100 or whatever it is, but I think in the long run, doing that will save you a lot of money in dental fees. I really do. It's fun. Yeah. All right. Next up is Eric is saying, Chris, the stock market is, and if I missed anybody's question in between, just paste it again, please. Eric is saying, Chris, the stock market is at an all-time high. Historically, due to ultra low interest rates, creating an asset bubble. To put this in perspective, it's still not a good time to buy right now? Question mark. So I don't look at it that way. I just look at buying companies I like that are broken stocks but not broken companies. That's how I do it. I look longer term. But you're right, because interest rates are low. What happens is people think, oh goodness, I don't want to put my money in the bank because I'm not going to make much on interest, which is the right thing to think. And then people think, well, I guess I'll buy other stuff now, like stocks or real estate, right? And now you understand that for those of you who are not familiar with how interest rates work and how it impacts the stock market, when interest rates are high, people don't buy stocks or invest in startups because they think, well, I can put my money in the bank and get a higher return, which is why in the early 1980s, when Paul Volcker, God bless him, he just passed away. He was the Federal Reserve chairperson. He got interest rates up to close to 20% to control inflation, which is the right call. But no companies were created in the early 80s. None. Hardly any. Like how many tech companies were created in the early 80s? Not many. So high interest rates always has a brutal impact on the growth of the economy. So I don't think of it that way. I just think of, bottoms up and buying individual stocks when they're out of favor. But if the market were to crash for geopolitical reasons, that's when I buy. You just got to be unemotional. Dale Carnegie said people are often creatures of emotion and not creatures of logic in business, which is a good thing for you and I and all of us because it creates more opportunities. And you got to be a contrarian, otherwise you'll never make money. Okay. All right. Hold on a second. This happens sometimes. It skips ahead. Okay, cool. Asmina is saying, by the way, Chris, I had a very interesting conversation about the Greek crisis and Varoufakis. I think the guy is a financial genius. I'm not familiar with Varoufakis. Sorry. Is that person the minister of finance or political leader? I'm not familiar. Sorry. Yeah. Can I ask you something? Why is it there's so many incredibly successful Greek shipping companies? Like Onassis, et cetera. Why is that? I'm curious. Is it because the Mediterranean, like historically, shipping was there? Like, why not other countries in the Mediterranean? I'm just curious. Yeah, thanks. If you don't know, don't worry about it. Yeah. And Christine's mother's side of the family grew up. They were in Santorini up until the volcano eruption, and a lot of them left. Yeah. Okay, and then Kartik, hello, Chris. Can you please make a course on using macros in Excel on Udemy? It would help a lot. Yeah, a lot of people ask about that. So the reason I don't do that is this. So I've created a lot of how to use Excel little tutorials in my courses. I know I can make more money by making it, but I don't care. It's not what I'm doing this for. But like if you take my complete financial analyst and other finance courses, I'm not going to market them, whatever. I teach you how to use make dashboards there, but I never, ever use macros. And the reason is that it's basically, it's a security issue because when you run macros, obviously you're running code on your computer and, I don't like to go there. I used to do it a lot. I used to use VBA a heck of a lot. I loved it. I enjoyed it. I still have the developer ribbon up there in Excel. But what I do instead is if I want to put buttons in, I'll put in images and make it look like a button. And then I'll just right click and hyperlink. Yeah. All right. Rose is in the house. How are you, Rose? Rose is RZ or RZ as we say in Canada. It's not Z, it's Z. Kartik says, are platform-based business models the best in the current time? They're the best always, I think, yeah. If you own the road, then you can charge the cars and create toll booths. And that's what, Facebook is the quintessential platform for social media. LinkedIn is the HR platform. Google is a search-based platform and a video platform with YouTube, obviously, which is now the second biggest search engine in the world. With iOS, they get a 30% fee every time you buy an app here. Same thing with my courses. You buy it from iOS, they take a big fee. Same thing with Android. Platforms are great, especially software platforms where it's virtual and the leverage, the upside is off the charts. Yeah. All right. In Kartik saying, I sent you a message on LinkedIn about my YouTube channel, but I did not receive a response from you. Please do check and give feedback. Yeah, unfortunately, I receive, I got close to 20,000, I guess, followers or whatever it is on YouTube or on LinkedIn. I can't respond to all. I'm so sorry. The best way to always reach me is right here. Yeah, I can't. And if anybody sent me emails and I haven't responded, I probably haven't even seen it. I can't keep up. I've got a million students now, or a million courses I've sold on different platforms. I can't. It's so hard. I just can't. I can't keep up. So best way to reach me is always here, or if you're in the MBA degree program during MBA classes, or if it's Udemy course within the Udemy course, you can ask there. Yeah, thanks. And Michael from England, who's from Wales. That's right, you're from Wales, I think, right? You said, I'm always telling people about corporate news channels and they're after the break agendas. We can buy everything from cars to funeral insurance here in the UK, but they'll tell us about the end of the world after the break. That's right. And that was with respect to that comment I made about the negative news media saying the world is going to end. I will tell you more after the break. After the break, yeah. 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 Do you guys have Costco there? I go to Costco a lot here. And by the way, Costco, it's interesting. Everything you see in Costco, which is a big discount retailer, everything you see in that store gets turned over every 2 weeks. 85% of the operating profit they make is from the annual fee of $50 or $60, whatever it is. And they've never cut the prices on hot dogs or pizzas or soft drinks there. It's pretty cool. But I mentioned Costco because you're telling me about what to buy. And by the way, for those of you in America, that go to Costco or Price Club in Canada, as they used to call it, I believe that if you don't find it at Costco, you don't need it. Yeah, they sell everything. It's amazing. And that's how I feed my kids sometimes. We'll walk around, you'll get those free little snacks, and anybody who says they don't do that is lying. Okay, James is saying, good morning, Chris. I've been a few months since I've had time to jump on one of your webcasts. Thank you, James, and great to see you again, man. Oh, Avi Pro in the house, who is our pilot, hence the cool icon there from Sweden. He's also a techie. Avi Pro saying, good morning, Chris. Just stopped by a bit to quick wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you, brother. Same to you and your family. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year to you as well. Thank you. And God bless you. Big virtual hug here and double high five. Yeah. All right, cool. And then James, another James is saying, hey, Chris, man, I just finished your MBA in one course recently. I learned so much. Thank you, Chris. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's fun. It's fun. Yeah. No, I love to teach. Yeah. And then Danios in the house. Been a while, dude. So Danios is Canadian from the wonderful La Belle Province of Alberta. That's the other beautiful province. He's saying, good morning, Chris. A bit late, but here I am again. Always great to have you, dude. Yeah. And then James is saying, greetings from South Africa. Great to have you. Thank you. I would love to visit South Africa. I will go one day. Yeah, I'd love to. I have a lot of students down there. Tons, actually. Yeah. Love to go. Kartik saying, do you ever feel lonely while pursuing your passion? And if yes, how'd you overcome it? Yeah. So being an entrepreneur can be very lonely. Like my dad, he is an immigrant from Egypt. And he he started his own company, very successful, and I learned more about business from him than anybody. But I remember growing up, I'm glad that he started the company by himself, because he would talk to me a lot about business at night while he was eating his seeds, sitting in the corner on the couch, his favorite spot. I wasn't allowed to sit there. I was, but it's his favorite spot, watching the Blue Jay games, but not really watching the Blue Jay games, thinking about business. And he'd tell me about business, things he was going through. And I remember once he said that. He said, it's kind of lonely starting your own company. You're on your own, It is lonely. It is lonely. And for me, and I've done partnerships before, and it's just not for me. But when I feel lonely, which happens a bunch, when you're doing your own thing, especially as a teacher online, I go to Paris Baguette. It's just it's a Korean deli for French food here in the Bay Area. It's all over the world, obviously. I Wikipedia'd them yesterday. It's a pretty cool company. I'll go there and I'll just work from there, with my laptop, and I'll have my Bose headset on or whatever. And it's just, there's people walking around and you get free Wi-Fi. And that's how I do it, just for a change of scene every now and then. And sometimes I'll go to the library too, for a change of scene, or a Starbucks or whatever, just kind of mix it up to change my environment. Otherwise it gets kind of boring after a while, or not boring, but just gets I don't know, monotonous. You want to mix it up. It's like the change of seasons. And for those of you that are pissed off because you live in a country where there's snow, don't be, because I was happier in Canada than I am here in California because of the seasonal changes. It's great to have, you always look forward to spring and summer. Something to look forward to. And there's different fashion too with the fall, everything. It's just here where I am now. I mean, it's great and everything, but it's just the same all the time. I like change. Way off topic there. Yeah. My kids will never know snow. And actually, we took our kids we used to go home for Christmas every year. We don't anymore, but go home to Toronto. And my kids, oh my God, it was so painful. It's getting them to go outside. They wanted to go outside. It took me 8 million years to dress them up in the entire snowsuit. And then, those gloves with a string attached, and only those live in cold countries know what that means. And the second they're all ready and I put them outside, they're like, Dad, I have to go to the bathroom. Go in your suit. I'm just kidding. I didn't say that. I was thinking that though. Yeah. No, but I do miss the change. There's something about Christmas with snow, which is, I don't know, it's just something I grew up with. I love it. All right. All right, cool. Next up, Asamina is saying, the moment when you have a whole game based on an ancientish urban legend, and Chris mentions them, smoking nervously in the corner. Yeah. No, I love learning about history with video games as well. I know it sounds silly, but you can do it with some games. Like when I used to play Age of Empires, I learned about the Babylonians and all that stuff, and I love that game. It was fun. It was fun. And I think in the future, we're going to have gamification when it comes to learning. And I'm playing around with augmented reality a lot now, which I'm going to use the MBA degree program. I don't know exactly how yet. I'm working on it. And I am going to do VR at some point. VR videos. I don't know yet how I'm going to do, because I know the total addressable market of people that do VR is very, very small from a student perspective. Maybe something as simple as that Google Cardboard box or something. But I am playing around with that now because, my kid, we had this Sony VR headset thing and we were playing Creed. And I'm so old, but one of my kids saw this dude with a mohawk. He was like, "Who the hell is that?" And I was like, "Dude, that's Mr. T." But they'll watch videos on YouTube using the Sony VR thing, and it's insane, man. It's amazing. Like I was in a fighter jet. There's one video I watched flying over China, which was just using the PS4 and the VR headset. It was amazing. Or one of my kids loves the Titanic and roller coasters, and so he went on a roller coaster on the Titanic using VRs. It's pretty cool. So I'm gonna play around with that, at some point. I don't know how, but I wanna teach using stuff like that. I don't know how. Yeah. And ALD is just saying hi from France. Hi to you too. This is my petit déjeuner, which for those of you who don't speak French means small lunch. Is here. It's my kale shake, which I haven't even had a little bit of this morning. Oh my God, nothing's coming out. All right, too much pulp in this one. All right, I put a lot of jalapeno in this week, which makes it more pulpy, I guess. Yeah. All right. And je veux faire le grasse matinée, but I can't. All right. Kartik is saying, how do you understand the annual report of a company? So a lot of it is common sense. It's just qualitative stuff you can read about, which is easy, like the management team or risks, right? Anybody can understand risk. Just do a search, Control F on the word risk in Chrome or whatever browser you use when you read those annual reports or 10Ks. The finance stuff is different, though. You got to learn it. You have to understand financial modeling, which I teach in a lot of my courses. Yeah. But what some people do, what I used to do when I worked on Wall Street, when I worked in the hedge fund industry, is I would take last year's annual report and put it in Microsoft Word. Then I would take this year's annual report and put it in Microsoft Word. And then you can do an auto compare within Word. It's easy to do. And I ignore all the numbers because obviously the numbers change every year. But I would look at the qualitative stuff, like new risks that were written. You know, like for example, in Q1 or Q2 of 2003, when SARS was this crazy epidemic, I remember I looked at a lot of annual reports or quarterly reports, 10Qs, I should say at the time. And SARS was added as a risk for a lot of companies. Yeah. Or sometimes they'll say we are worried about X one year, and then the next year they'll say we are very worried about X. The word "very" is added with a blue underline, and that's just something you can look into as well. Obviously, it only works with qualitative comparisons and not quantitative, not for numbers. Is there any simulation for learning investing money as a game with fake money? They've got to exist. There's a lot of, it's like fantasy sports kind of. There's a lot of services online where you can invest pretend money, or actually you should do that. Create a fake portfolio, right? In Yahoo Finance and monitor it. That's what I used to do when I was a lot younger, before I had a track record and before I had money to trade, or invest, I should say. Yeah, you can do that. I'm sure they're out there though. They're games, but. Now, if you find one, let me know. You know what? Screw it. Maybe I'll make one. Yeah, maybe I'll make one. Maybe I'll make that part of the MBA degree program, just from a gamification perspective. Although it would be challenging because I don't want people to be short-term focused. I don't want them to check their daily P&L. Yeah, I'll think about that. Yeah. And Property Search, how are you? Hi, Chris. Hope you're keeping warm in this cold weather. I have the air conditioning on, only because I have this new computer I bought, which is amazing. It is quiet, except it gives off tons of heat. Yeah. So if you're in Canada, buy the new Apple Mac Pro. It'll warm up your house. How's that? You said you have a few questions. What are the best leadership books? And what are your top business mistakes? And what can we learn from it in hindsight? Yeah. So leadership books, I don't really know if there's that many. Like I find it hard sometimes with qualitative books. I find the best way to learn about business from a leadership perspective is just to listen to biographies of successful people, you know, or autobiographies even. Like listen to audiobooks from Sir Richard Branson to find out his management practices, you know. So I would do that sort of thing. Just solve for X, whoever X is for you, you know, business leaders you admire, and just listen to audiobooks on them. That's the best way. Because that's way it's not bogus theoretical stuff. It's real practical stuff that works. And like my dad said, never take advice from somebody not successful. So listen to audiobooks. And then you said, what are your top business mistakes? What we can learn from the hindsight? For me, it was chasing money. You know, it's like for me, I like to lump in business and happiness together because I mean, business is what you do all day long. It's your job. Shouldn't you be happy doing it? So for me, the biggest failure was, you know, trying to go to Wall Street to make money. And I was never happy. You know, I worked at Goldman and, you know, the money was fine. Whatever was good. They were good to me. And the cancer of Wall Street is every Christmas bonus season, you compare yourselves to those that have more. You know, you're only supposed to look into your neighbor's bowl to see if they have enough food. And it wasn't enough. And so I went to a hedge fund and that wasn't enough for me. And then a big hedge fund called Citadel recruited me out here. And I was really happy on day one. My fault though. And I thought, am I clinically depressed? Like, why is it, Chris, that you work so hard, you change careers, and your happiest day is the first day when you get the job? Why is that? What is wrong with you, Chris? And I thought, should I go on Prozac? Is there something wrong with me? Something's missing. And I realized it was because I was chasing money, and I was miserable, and I just wasn't happy. And it was short-term focused too, hedge funds. And I started my hedge fund. Then I started a venture capital firm. I was a bit more happy actually doing VC because I got to be longer-term focused. I was a partner in a VC firm. And then I started teaching at night. It's like, oh my God, it's late at night. I'm teaching and I'm full of energy and I love it. And I do it for free. So whatever you would do for free, that should be your profession. And I realized in hindsight, I was kind of, what a waste of life that was for me. Everyone was depressed. And I read this book by the Dalai Lama, this great book you should all read if you haven't already, called The Art of Happiness. And the Dalai Lama said the problem with Western society is that we compare ourselves to those that have more. And, the problem with Western society in general is that we spend our whole lives sacrificing our health to maintain, sacrificing our health to make money. And then at the end of our lives, we sacrifice all of our money to maintain our health. And then we look back and we realize we never really lived to begin with. So the biggest failure for me was not thinking with my heart first. And you always have to do that. And I was insecure too. I kind of wanted to, I kind of care what people thought of me. I thought, it'd be cool to work on Wall Street, whatever. But F that, man. Who cares? And the second you live your life that way, you'll always be someone else's prisoner. So just be yourself and do what you love doing. And you'll be incredibly successful. I promise you. If you chase money, you'll lose your dreams and your money. If you chase your dreams, as long as you're willing to fail at least a couple times, and I hope you do. And I say it with love in my heart because you'll never be successful without failing. And you only have to be successful once in business. But if you chase your dreams and you're cool with failing a couple times because you don't care now what people think of you, then not only will your dreams come true, but the money will follow. It always does, accidentally. It's true. It's true. Nobody that's reinvented the world or an industry or put their dent in the universe has done it just for money. Think with your heart first. Do what you love. And I promise the rest of your life will fall into place. Everything works out better that way. All right. And Mercy, who is from British Columbia. I wonder why it's called British Columbia. Do you know why, Mercy? Why Columbia? Like British, I guess, because the British settled Canada. Although a lot of cities in Canada and provinces are named after Native Indian, the First Nations. Like Ottawa, our capital in Canada is it's Native Indian for meeting place. And in Toronto, where I'm from, it's actually interesting. What happened was, a British soldier, when they were in the Toronto area in the 1700s, founded it and was walking around, and there's a tar pit. And he got his foot, a lot of tar in it. And he looked down at his foot. He said, tar on toe. And that's why it's called Toronto. Why is it called British Columbia? Let me know, please. I'm curious now. If I wasn't teaching right now or wasn't doing this for fun thing, I'd go to Wikipedia right now and find out why. British I get because the Brits settled initially. But why Columbia? You got to tell me, please. All right. Oh, and now I should read your question. Sorry. And then Mercy from Victoria in British Columbia saying, and by the way, Mercy is in the process of writing a book, and you should all write a book, and I've all given you the template how to do it. It's easy, free to do. And her book is something along the lines of 30 yoga practices to improve your life. And she's a big deal. She actually got a contract recently. One of her customers or business partners is Lululemon, great Canadian company based on the West Coast there. And all you need in business is one great reference customer to put you on the map. So congratulations for that. Okay, I talk a lot. Now I'm gonna read your question. I'm sorry. Chris, I'm using the scheduler you gave us. Awesome. You said you're loving it. Paraphrasing someone. If you know who is leading you, You do not need to figure out exactly where you're being led. Using common sense is revitalizing. Oh, that's interesting. I love it. And that reminds me of Ted Turner, as we talked about in our first entrepreneurship class in the MBA degree program. He's the founder, everyone knows, of CNN. Ted Turner on his desk has this tagline, which says, "Lead, follow, or get out of the way." And I love it because his companies are not bureaucratic because of that. And that's one of the reasons why CNN's been successful. Yeah. All right. And then property search is saying, how do you develop creativity? Yeah. So let me grab another prop. So for those of you in my MBA degree program, I started off one session where we were talking about Excel with this. And I wrote, and the paint is still not dry. It's been like 2 weeks, whatever. Such an idiot. There we go. I'm so dumb. I'm that guy, dude, that, look at that. It keeps going. Oh my God, I barely touched it. It's oil-based. Look at that. I'm that guy that walks by a park bench and it says wet paint that I have to touch it. And I'm 7.5. But I created this and you got to kind of think of business and what you're doing like you have a blank palette. And these are my corporate colors, blue and green. I don't know if you guys got that. It's kind of fun. So I wrote, enjoy creating with software, have fun with it. And you got to think that you have a palette and you're an artist. And in the MBA degree program, I've got all these boxes behind me because I'm hiding my kids' Christmas presents here. In my MBA degree program, now I have green on both hands. This is like, I'm such an idiot. Look at that. Look at that. See, it's so moronic. Yeah. Now I'll get all over the white table. So what I would do at this point, and I've done before, is I go to Christine, my wife. She has nail polish in this little bottle, and I use most of it, but I never say I'm using it 'cause she'll get mad at me. And it smells kind of cool too. I didn't just say that, by the way. What the hell was I talking about? Oh yeah, you got to do you got to make sure that you think like an artist, whatever it is you're doing in business, and just be creative. You know, kind of like I've been doing with 3D models when I've been teaching y'all in the MBA degree program. It's just fun. You got to be creative, and you don't get to be that creative in business. And anytime you can kind of try to be creative, it's more fun. You know, like create your own logo, your own brochures, whatever. You know, jazz up your presentations. Have fun with it. You know, turn business into art. You know, nobody's an artist for the money. They do it because they love it. You know, so, and if you get a chance, do a search on Pablo Picasso, and you could see him up there. Got a little version of Picasso up on the shelf there, very small. He's had some wonderful quotes. You know, something along the lines of everything you dream is real. Everything you can imagine is real. Yeah. He's got one, and somebody's going to make a great movie about Picasso. I don't know who would play him. Any idea, guys? Who do you think should play Picasso? Who do you think it should be? I don't know. But anyway, just that's how you develop creativity. It's just thinking like an artist in business, if you can. You know, you can also listen to music. You can, like for me, I ask SIRI to turn on the soundtrack for the motion picture Interstellar. Or the Truman Show. Oh, that piano, the main theme is gorgeous sonic architecture. I love it. And by listening to that kind of music, it gets me into a peak mental state to be really creative. And I spoil myself too with coffee. I don't drink, I don't smoke, so whatever, this is one of my vices. And I've got this nice fully desk that goes up and down and a chair that's comfy, and I cycle under the table sometimes, and I just try to create an environment that's, I don't know, enjoyable. It's kind of fun, you know? And if it's enjoyable for me, then I can be more productive and think like an artist, like Bob Ross. Like, let's get this tree little friend here. I don't know if you guys watched that. I used to watch that years ago on TV when we had 3 channels. Yeah. Okay. Next up is Melody. Oh, I love that. It's like melody and DIY, all capital, like do it yourself. It's cool. Melody, that's smart. Melody is saying that is brilliant, actually. That is absolutely brilliant. Melody is saying, what was your greatest career weakness and how do you overcome it? Yeah. So it goes in hand with chasing money, which I explained earlier, but also presentations. I was so scared of presenting. I was terrified. Like I would literally rather die than present. Literally. Like the thought of me talking right now to a lot of people or giving a TEDx talk or giving, interviews on TV or in front of thousands of people in Brazil recently, that would have scared the crap out of me. I would have rather died. Yes, died. That's how scared I was of public speaking. And then I was like, you know what, dude, other people are scared of it too. And if I don't run to my fear and conquer it, then I'll never reach my full potential in life. And so what I did was I thought to myself, how can I learn public speaking? How can I get in the ring with a tiger and just beat that tiger? How can I do that and just conquer it? And I know it sounds like a bizarre thing to say. And for me, what I did was it was through my church. And this is not a religious thing. But it was actually, and you know what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to show you where it was exactly. I went to jail. It's true, folks. I did. I went to I got a police badge and I went into the McGuire Correctional Facility in Redwood City. Come on, Google, complete me. There it is. Yeah. McGuire Correctional Facility right here. Okay. And it was in Redwood City. And I'm going to show you everything actually. Yeah, there it is there. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. And the main entrance is down here. But I would go here on Sundays just to talk to these poor kids that were like 20. There's the main entrance there. These poor kids that were, maybe 20 years old or so that had a deadbeat father. I don't think there's such things as a deadbeat mother. That's right. And, they did something I probably did but never got caught for because I have great parents or whatever. They were there for me at least. And I would go here and what would happen is it was through the church, whatever, St. Vincent de Paul. And I remember there's 3 floors up here, right? This here is choices, this floor, which means you're really, really well behaved, relatively speaking. This one here is your average behaved. And this one here is just disastrous. Yeah, it was scary. And so I started here and then moved down here eventually. Which scared the hell out of me. But I went and I got my police badge. And the weird thing, actually, I'll never forget this. I was over here. I'll tell you about going inside in a second. I used to park my Prius right here. I swear on the Bible, I had a Prius. And then buddies of mine teased me after watching the movie The Other Guys with Will Ferrell about it. I'm not going to go there. But I remember I used to park my Prius there. It's so funny. The Lord works in mysterious ways. Wow. Okay. And I remember, I'll never forget, there was this girl here, right? She parked beside me, and she was really, really attractive. And she was waving up here and smiling for ages. And her boyfriend was there, who's in jail. And I mentioned this is totally off topic, but this is what's on my mind, right? And when I used to go here and wait to go in, there was always stunning women there. And I never understood why. But anyway, I would go in here and then we go through security, a bunch of security checks, whatever. And yeah, all that stuff and cameras. And then what would happen is I go in and the priest was there. The priest would conduct mass and a bunch of people would be in the room, whatever. And I just kind of was there to help and just not talk about religion, but just talk to these poor kids and counsel them because everybody deserves a second chance. It's true. And one week I was there and the priest didn't show up. And so the warden said, Haroun. I was like, here, present. He said, Father Michael, or whoever it was, I can't remember, it wasn't my Father Michael, somebody else, didn't show up. And so I had to conduct mass. And I was like, dude, that's crazy. I can't do that. I'm a Eucharistic minister, whatever. But basically what it means is this. It's you have this pamphlet and you read the whole thing, whatever, and that's it. It's not that hard. First reading, second reading. The only hard thing is the gospel, which is just a text from the New Testament. What priests do, if you ever go to church or any religious institution, they read a piece from the Bible called the gospel, which is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, those 4 books. And then after they read it, they give a speech that they practice all week long. No script. They walk around the church. It's cool. And they give a speech. And I had to read the pamphlet, which I could do, because when you're up there standing and reading and you feel nervous, don't worry, because you never look as nervous as you feel. And I had to give the speech. I was like, what the heck is this, man? I can't, on the spot, with freaking 30 inmates in orange jumpsuits staring at me, want to kill me? I don't know. So the speech was this. The gospel that day was something along the lines of faith and confidence. And I read it and then I put it down, and I was supposed to give that speech they give after the gospel thing. And I told myself, this is your time, Chris. This is your time to end this fear you have. And I looked around, and there were these 30 inmates, as I mentioned, in orange jumpsuits with their arms crossed like this. And some of them were paying attention. A lot were kind of. And they had tattoos, and one of them had tattoo saying F you across his mustache. It's the weirdest thing, man. Not very welcoming. Don't get a tattoo that says F you across here. And I started talking, and I said this. I said, do you believe in God? And a lot of the inmates were like, and then I said, does God believe in you? And they said, yeah. And I said, well, if you don't believe in yourself, you might have to question your faith. And then when I said that, I'll never forget, they a bunch uncrossed their arms, and they were like, interesting. And they opened up. And it was that moment for me that I conquered that fear of public speaking. And I told myself, if I could do it there, I can do it anywhere. And a lot of those guys, I call them kids. A lot of them are in their 20s, poor guys. I mean, there were some that did serious crimes. They never tell which ones. And you're trained when you talk to them, you never ever say where you're from, your last name, or anything like that. If they try, just don't, because I want you to bring stuff in. I'm not going to go there. So I was really careful. But in some of these poor kids, man, it's not their fault. Wrong place at the wrong time. There's this one guy there that if you're caught selling drugs, it's minimal fine, whatever, right? Marijuana or whatever it is. This poor guy, he was in San Francisco, and he was in the Presidio, which is this area where George Lucas has an office and Peter Thiel has his awesome venture capital firm. And that's federal property because it used to be an old Army property. And he got caught just selling weed, which I'm totally against drugs, by the way. I know it's legal, but I'm completely against this unless it's medicinal, because anything that takes away my motivation, I freaking hate. But because he sold weed in the Presidio, which is federal grounds, he was prosecuted. He had to spend 10 years in jail. If it was across the street outside of the Presidio in just regular San Francisco, he would have gotten a fine. That's it. Yeah. But anyway, these poor kids just, tough. Got caught at the wrong place, the wrong time. But anyway, for me, I kind of I conquered that fear then, and now it's my biggest sense of joy is public speaking. I love it, and so I encourage you all to, whatever fear you have in business that's holding you back. Maybe you're scared of finance and accounting. Embrace it. Learn to read financial statements like a good book, or public speaking, or whatever it is. Whatever your fear is, I promise you, it's the fear of a lot of your competitors as well. And the only way you're going to reach your full potential in life, in business at least, is conquering that fear and conditioning yourself to believe that biggest fear of yours is now your biggest sense of joy. All right. Okay, and then Kartik, earlier on, he asked me about imposter syndrome, and I said, I don't know what that means, sorry. Imposter syndrome is a feeling of inferiority because you feel like a fraud and incompetent in front of higher authorities. Yeah. So I think the best way to beat that is just to really think to yourself, I don't care, and then fill in a blank. I don't care what people think of me. I don't care what people think of my hair. I don't care what people think of my career. I don't care if people find out that I listen to Enya. I love it. And she sings in Gaelic. I have no idea what she's saying, but it sounds beautiful and I love it. That, when I was younger, that used to be drawer music, which you guys are not going to know what that means, because my buddy Sohail Bajwa, my best friend growing up, he coined that. Drawer music was this. It's back in the old days when we had CDs and a big CD collection. There's certain CDs that you didn't want your buddies to know that you had, so you kept them in your drawer. That's called drawer music. So examples of drawer music for me back then, or 80s or 90s, included Enya, as well as Madonna. She had this album, Ray of Light, which is amazing. Yes, I'm a fan. That's drawer music. And anyway, you just you gotta tell yourself, I don't care. I don't care what people think. I'm not telling you to be reckless, whatever, but just kind of, get over the fact that you care what other people think of you. If you do that, you'll always be their prisoner, as Lao Tzu once famously said in her quote on that topic. Just you be you. You do you. It's so hard trying to be somebody else. And your family and friends love you for who you are. So be the same way in front of other people as well. Then you'll reach this awesome level of euphoria you'll feel, and you'll never be the same. I don't care. That's what you got to say, and then fill in the blanks. I don't care what people think of. Fill in the blanks. That's the way to be. And if it's going to be, I'm going to be me. That's what you got to say. I'm just going to be me. Because as Dr. Seuss said, and I love reading Dr. Seuss books to my kids, because not only are the animation's cool, whatever, and the kids like it, or at least Dylan, he's 10 now. But Dr. Seuss had this prophetic insight as well. Everything he wrote, I felt like he was writing for the kids and the adults at the same time, and all that stuff rhymed, right? And he said, those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. Yeah. And he must have written Green Eggs and Ham on something. I don't know, dude. I have no idea. That'd be a good documentary to watch, or a movie to make about Dr. Seuss. That'd be pretty cool. The Cat in the Hat. Maybe, all right, hold on a second. So Ted is saying, I have a lot of growing up to do. I realized the other day inside my fort. Oh, I love that. That's great. Oh, and I make forts with my kids too. Oh, dude, it's so funny. Like my kids, like I'll buy them a gift sometimes in a big cardboard box, and they'll play with the cardboard box instead. They'll make like houses out of it in forts. And I bought one of my kids the Harry Potter book set, because every other parent bought it for their kids who read them all in the 4th grade. And my kids, like, they're kind of like me, whatever. They don't care about that. And the only thing my kids use, the Harry Potter books I bought for them, like the hardcover ones, they never crack them open, whatever. I can't force them to be passionate about something they're not passionate about. But they use them to hold down the blankets when they make forts. Yeah. Oh, I love that. I have a lot of growing up to do. I realized that the other day inside my fort. F&A. I love that, dude. I love that. Don't grow up. Always be you. Always be you. Remember when you were younger and you used to laugh so hard until it hurt? Why don't we do that anymore when we're older? You join a big company, it's like corporate lobotomy. You're not being you. Be a kid. Be a kid. Don't hide the fact that you play video games. Tell everybody. Who cares? Be a kid. Just be you. And I think that can kind of unleash your inner creativity as well. More green paint on my hand there. Way to go, Chris. Right? So, when you're a kid, like I was teaching this to my MBA students, I was teaching them how to use Excel for financial modeling. And I wrote, enjoy creating software. Or enjoy creating with software. It's fun with my Bob Ross wig on, which I had at the time. More green paint on me. But when you're a kid, you're told to color, and I don't know, you're creative. Like, why don't we still color now? Like, why don't we still kind of be creative? I think it kind of sucks the life out of you when you're not creative. So, I don't know. Just tap into your inner child, so to speak, or whatever, and be creative. In business, be creative as well. With software, or whatever it is, with, mess around with Adobe products, and I don't know, it's kind of fun, man. Yeah. And if you give a PowerPoint presentation, play around with it, jazz it up, have fun. Use the morph feature in 3D models, like I showed you earlier today. It's fun. All right. All right. Next up is Fanny is saying, "Good morning, Chris. It's great that you went to Southeast Asia for your honeymoon. My husband is from Malaysia. It's a beautiful island. If you haven't been there, I highly recommend it. I'd love to. I absolutely love to. I think it was Suharto was the prime minister at the time. I remember. Yeah, I think, or maybe I'm wrong actually. Yeah, I'd love to go. I was in Indonesia. I went to Bali. That's where which was great. People were so peaceful. Oh, it was surreal. I loved it. Loved it. Thank you for that, though. I will go there. I will check it out. I've actually been asked recently to speak there, but I said only if you fly my whole family, and they said no. Okay, and Fanny said, "Can you share how you became super interested in education tech, and how do you see the sector's future?" Yeah, thank you, Fanny. Yeah, so I became interested in it because I've always been a nerd. I've always loved software, technology, programming, video games. I'm still playing Red Dead Redemption Part 2. That's my go-to game now, and the new Call of Duty. The graphics are freaking insane. They're unbelievable. So I've always been into technology. I always absolutely loved it. I was a programmer for years. I worked in the hedge fund industry and venture capital and tech. I just loved it. Loved tech. But education for me, I didn't know I would like it, and so I was. I was asked. Some dude called me and said, "Do you want to be on a panel?" Years ago at San Francisco State. I was kind of nervous, but I did it, and I felt alive up there. And then the dean saw me on the panel and said, "Hey, do you want to teach a class?" I was like, "Dude, I'm not qualified." He was like, "Just try it out," right? And I was like, he gave me a blank palette. Let me do whatever I wanted to do. And so I did it, and I loved it. And if you go to ratemyprofessor.com or whatever it is, you can see the humbled say you see the feedback, whatever. I loved it. I loved it. And then I started doing charity work. I'm on the board of the Limo Foundation in East Palo Alto, where the high school graduation rate's only 40%. And in that prison that I showed you earlier that I used to go to give speeches, the Redwood City, the McGuire Correctional Facility, a lot of people there are from East Palo Alto. High incarceration rate there, yeah. And then I started, like on the Limo Foundation, which I'm on the board of, we provide scholarships to people between the ages of like 9 and 18, and then like to the best schools in the Bay Area, like ones I would never be able to get into. And then, they all go to great universities, whatever. And but I remember I did this 1-day event for them. It was a Saturday, and I think it was maybe January 2016. Where all the kids between 9 and 17 years old at the time, I created this 1-day thing for them at and one other guy, Patrick, who's on the board of Limo as well. He's at a venture capital firm called Longitude. He let us use his office in Menlo Park. Then great guy. And I did that and I called it for the kids then an entire MBA in 1 day. And let me show you this because this changed my life. And this is before I made the entire MBA one course. So if we go to my website here, charity up here in the corner, I'll show you some pictures. So these are the charities I'm involved with. That's something else there. Here it is here. Okay, yeah. So, and I created these degrees for them. Limo Business Scholar is what I called it. It was a 1-day event. And it was fun, man. Yeah, there's all the kids. They're amazing. There's my book. That's the 9-year-old there. They're brilliant kids. They're great. And it was 12 hours, and I made them that degree. And that kind of is what inspired me to make the MBA degree as well for my MBA students. And so what I did was I did that on a Saturday. It was a Saturday in January. And then I published on the next day, I think it was, I threw up a camera at home and I did my, entire MBA in one course. I threw it up, the camera, and my wife saw the camera in the bedroom. She's like, "Honey, this is not happening." I'm like, no, I'm making a course. Sorry. Problem with doing these live calls, I can't take that back now. I'm one dumb comment away from destroying my life. You all know that's true, which might happen one day. I'm just kidding. And I did the course on Udemy, and I think on Monday, the Monday after or shortly thereafter, Business Insider wrote an article about it. An entire MBA in one course, and then it sold a couple 100,000 It's sold a couple 100,000 copies now, in English, 12 and 10 or 11 different languages, whatever. And I never did it for the money. I just kind of, I don't know. I did it because I wanted to help, and I taught from my heart. And I was at work one day and I wasn't feeling it, and I just left. And my business partners were great. They said, "That's cool. Just work from home." And I didn't work from home. And eventually I told this is something I have to do. I was meant to do this. I just want to teach. It's what I want to do. And it was never about the money. And I love teachers because they don't do it for the money. There's a lot of great teachers out there. And I think teachers should make as much as doctors. If you think about it, if you're taught the right way, you'll never need a doctor, or not as much at least. Anyway, I love it. I love it. I love everything about it. And I'm having a blast. I'm having fun. All right. But no, I'm very bullish, positive about the future of ed tech. Yeah. Very positive. Yeah. I think we're going to look back and say, how ridiculous. Like, my great grandkids are going to say, it's so ridiculous. You mean you would spend 4 years at undergraduate school and come up with, I don't know, 100 grand debt, and you only had 13 hours of class a week. What did you learn that you use in the real world? Not that much. Oh, and you did an MBA, which cost you how much? Did you learn how to sell? No, they never taught me how to sell. Did they teach you how to present? No. Did they teach you how to interview? No. So after you graduated with your MBA, did you know immediately how to start a business? No. Did they teach you how to write a business plan? No. Did they teach you how to manage your own money? No, just other people's money. They teach you how a mortgage works. No, I had to call my parents and ask how a mortgage works after I graduated. Did they teach you how to write an amazing LinkedIn profile or leverage social media? I graduated years ago. No, it's not their fault. That was years ago. Whatever. Anyway. Yeah. So, yeah. There's a lot of stuff that they don't really teach you in school. That they really, really should. And I think schools can be cut in half, meaning in-person education. And I think when you're younger, like high school and stuff, it's important to obviously go to school, maybe undergrad, I don't know yet, because it's important to learn how to socialize and all that stuff. But I think it can be cut in half. Like 13 hours of class a week, really, Chris? And you made how many hours of that? Not many, because of whatever. It's my fault, not theirs. It just seems ridiculous. And so I think what's going to happen is traditional education is going to be supplemented or enhanced with online as well. And then Property Search is saying, is your future goal for the MBA degree, do you have 3 to 5 year plan for the MBA degree? I do. Yeah. And for those of you in the first class, and thank you, and demand's been off the charts. It's incredible. We had to shut it down, so I'm so sorry if you didn't get in. But for the first class, you guys are getting a lot of stuff I'm not going to be giving away for free in the future. I'm running at a loss right now. I don't care. I have other businesses that more than compensate for it. But I will run out of profit at some point. I'm a businessman. But the second it becomes just about money, then forget it. I suck. But for all of you in this first program, you're getting a sweetheart of a deal. And you get a 30-day money-back guarantee until January 2nd. Don't forget that. You could still bail. You could still pull the ripcord if you want to. But every course I ever make for the rest of my life, and every subscription service I ever make for the rest of my life, and every new class I ever make for the rest of my life, you're all going to get for free. Yeah. So it's fun. All right. And MBA stands for Married But Available, by the way. Remember before I said one little bad joke or a little thing is going to get me in trouble one day? That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Just kidding. It does not stand for Married But Available. I've completely lost my place now, and now I have to search for Control F MBA. It jumped. All right, hold on a second. Yeah. All right. Next up is Asamina. Is saying, so if phoneless meetups is a good sign, I assume my friends and I are doing it right because the phone is out due to conversations. Yeah. I don't even like my phone, dude. Like, I don't even use it anymore. like I communicate a lot, obviously online and stuff, and we do these Zoom meetings, whatever. And if anybody wants to get on Zoom, we could do it. If we run out of questions, I'll turn on Zoom if you guys want. I think I figured out how to do it better. For ages, I was doing Zoom, and I kept very nicely criticizing people that were doing it with me, saying, "No, you hit unmute, and on my end, it might have been muted the whole time. So, anyway, yeah, no, I don't even answer my phone anymore, ever. Right? Like I just get, I'm on blast voicemails from all over the world. The phone is dead to me. It's dead. It's a dead way to communicate. And then Deaf Guy 319, it's been a while. How are you? Is writing, I just got a new manager at work yesterday, but we haven't set up any one-on-one time. So you think I should initiate that meeting, and how should I show the value I add? Yeah, no, I get you. You got to prove yourself. So it's political too. I know. So I would just set up a time to meet with them. Just kind of keep it open-ended, say, welcome to the firm, and, please let me know if you have time for a coffee in the next couple of weeks. Thank you. And get to know them as well. And make sure you get to connect with them on a personal level. It's like any other business meeting. You always want to bond before business. Don't jump right into business. And just get to know them a bit, ask them where they're from, whatever. And, if you're in my MBA degree program, I'm not sure if you are, but we talked about 10 different ways to bond in meetings. And if you're not, let me know and I'll tell you what they are. Sorry. I just don't want to be redundant. And then in that meeting, in terms of the value add, you can express something along the lines of the following if it's true. Just say, I really enjoy, the team. They're fantastic, and we've done a lot of great things together, and talk about accomplishments that you've accomplished together, and use certain strength words during that meeting. Like, make sure you throw in the word teamwork, throw in the word passionate, like you love what you're doing. We instead of I, etc. Yeah, but I don't think you need to sell yourself right away. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. Otherwise, they might think, why is this person going overselling? Is there something wrong with this person? Is this a problem employee? Don't take that the wrong way at all, please. Just get to know them. And just ask for feedback, and do it every 3 months or so with that manager. And if you do that, and this goes to everyone out there in the call today, if you set up a feedback meeting, how am I doing? Every 3 months. Then the likelihood that you get blindsided and fired when push comes to shove, when the economy turns, it will at some point, because business is always cyclical, the likelihood of you getting let go goes down a lot because you ask for feedback, right? How am I doing? What do I need to do? And then once you've had a bunch of meetings with that manager and got to know her or him, then what I want you to do is you'll never get a raise or a promotion unless you ask for it. That's just the way it works. And the way you do it is after you accomplish a lot of good stuff and you sit down with your manager, you do a review of work, and you somehow slip that in or at least make sure that they're aware of it. I'm sure they will be aware of your accomplishments. And then I want you to say this, I really enjoy the team, and I love what we're doing. We got a really good thing going. And I just wanted to ask, I'm really, really motivated. What would I need to do in order to get promoted or a raise? Like, what would I need to achieve? And they'll tell you what you need to achieve. And after you achieve it, call meeting and say, I've done it. Where's the promotion? Obviously, don't be direct like that, but you know what I'm getting at. That's what I would do. Yeah, but that way, if you set up meetings every couple months or so with your boss, it's smart, because that way you'll never get blindsided, and you'll know what you need to do to make it to the next level. But in the very first meeting, just kind of get to know them first, right? Just that sort of thing. And if you wanted to, if this boss is all business, which I don't see would be the case at first in the first meeting, you could say, I just want to understand how I can add more value and help out and whatnot. And they'll tell you. All right. Asamina. Oh, no, I read that one already. Sorry. So, Mellow Do It Yourself. Love that. So brilliant. is saying, what was your greatest career weakness and how did you overcome it? Yeah. So, yeah, for me, it was public speaking, which I talked about earlier when I went to jail in the McGuire Correctional Facility, just to help kids. I gave speeches there and stuff. Yeah. That's how I overcame it. Yeah. So, all right. So we got another half hour or so, and then the call's done. Yeah. And I do the call forever, but I have a separate call with my MBA degree students. Okay. Property Search, who's one of my MBA degree students, always asks great questions. PS is asking, Chris, how should one follow up after placing a counter offer after justifying value that the individual brings to the table? Okay. So you just got a job offer. I'm just making this up. And they offered you $100 a year. But you think you should get $150 a year. Well, you have to provide me with more details because I don't think you should leave one company for another unless you get at least a 50% boost in salary. That's right. Yeah, provide me with a little bit more details on this because every situation is a little bit different. I'd be more than happy to provide my humble thoughts. Yeah. And Kartik is saying, is there a website to practice interview skills? I have a course called the Complete Job Course. And then for those of you in the MBA degree program, that's what we're redoing on Monday, December 23rd in time zone 1 and 2. Yeah, but aside from that, I think a great way is to practice with each other. And I'm going to have my MBA degree students practice with each other and also with me if they want to do one-on-ones as well. Yeah. All right. And Elena is saying, hello, Chris. Hey, do you have a course on how to open and maintain an online business, attract customers, and generate additional cash with advertising and business law concerns and handling taxes? Yeah. So I would recommend taking my course called the Entire MBA in One Course because it does deal with taxes as well as business law. It talks about, I guess, additional cash when it comes to the financial statements and forecasting. It doesn't really talk too much about maintaining an online business to attract customers. I have another course in that one called the Complete YouTube Course, which will help you take your social media game to humbly, I think, to the next level. Yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah. So check out those courses if you want. But I think probably another course to check out is called the Complete Business Plan course of mine, and there's money back guarantees, 30 days on all these courses always. I would check those out too if you want. Yeah. And you can always ask me questions here live if you want, if you don't want to take my courses too. Yeah. All right. Esaminas is saying, okay, all right. I asked you who Varoufakis was. Varoufakis did serve as finance minister, but he was a professor of economics, having worked with Steam. And I'm just thinking Steam, the video game. I know that's not what you're talking about, but I know you're a video gamer. With Steam and actually coming up with a plan for Greece to exit the crisis. Oh, interesting. Okay, thank you. I didn't know that. Yeah, and I remember at one point people were talking about Greece selling off some of the islands, which would have been awful, but it's a good thing things have gotten better there. Yeah. And then you told me earlier, I asked you, why is it a lot of great Greek shipping companies? Why are they Greek? I was really curious. Yeah, like Onassis, et cetera. And you wrote, as for the Greek shipping companies, Greece's coastline are almost equal to those of Africa. Oh my God. And you're never more than 200 kilometers away from the sea, no matter where you are. Thus, sailing was much easier. Is that true? That's fascinating. How interesting is that? Because Greece has a gazillion islands, and if you take up the perimeter added together of every single island in Greece and the main coastline where Athens is and stuff, that's equal to all of Africa? How fascinating is that? Oh my God, that is wonderful trivia. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Oh, I'm going to use that next time I meet with my friends from Greece. I'm going to mention that. That's awesome. Oh, I love that. Thank you. Thank you. Very cool. And I'm going to tell Yaya that as well. It's Christine's mom. You hope. Those of you on the call aren't Greek. I'm not Greek, but Christine is. My kids are partially Greek too. You call the mother, the grandmother, Yaya, not Yaya. It's Yaya, right? Who makes the best tzatziki ever. And I have to be honest with you, when I read the word Varoufakis, I got hungry because I was thinking of souvlaki. I don't know why. I just was. Okay. And I went to EOS with my brother years ago. Oh my God. I remember I partied so hard and we had souvlakis with French fries in them. And I remember climbing up the hill and we could barely move. And then we got the hotel and I told myself the next morning, I'm never drinking again. I'm never drinking again. And then later on that night, ouzo started off, tasted like black licorice or black jelly beans. And then rinse, ladder, repeat every night. Oh, if I can get my youth back. No regrets, none. And then Michael is saying, you say you're from London. I'm so sorry. And you wrote, there was another guy here recently from Wales. I'm so sorry about that. Okay. I get to live in all the smog, but I'm near Hampstead Heath. So I'm actually very lucky though. Awesome. Okay. Thank you. Sorry for that. My ignorance. Sorry. And then Avi Pro is saying, thanks, Chris. Hugs to you and your family too. Thank you. Samina is saying, right now, Greece has the second biggest commercial fleet in the world, just after Japan. I didn't know that. Interesting. Yet another thing not leveraged to overcome a crisis. Aside from that, even broke families own boats here. So, interesting. I had no idea. And I didn't know that about Japan, about the second biggest fleet after Japan. I didn't know Japan had the biggest fleet, commercial fleet. Oh, that's right. The Japanese, they made, that's right. They're really good at shipping, and I remember pushed a lot of the like Liverpool and areas like that in England were really hurt by that because the Japanese competition. Yeah. All right. And I've unfortunately got an old Roger Waters song in my head from the final cut. All right. Jacob is saying, hi, Chris. What do you think about more? Good to see you, Jacob. Think about moral about the giving tree. Was the boy talking too much? What is that? I don't know what that is. The giving tree. It sounds interesting. It sounds like something I should know. Let me know what that means, please. Yeah, is that a book or a movie? And let me know. All right. And then Property Search is saying, how long did it take for you to feel comfortable on camera and talking? Any tips to be more comfortable with camera? Yeah. So a couple things. Just be yourself, man. Like just be you. And what some people do. And Alexa Fisher taught me this, and she's a teacher on Udemy, and she used to be in CSI on TV and stuff. We gave a presentation together recently. She said that what she does is that was me showing off that I know Alexa Fisher. What she said was she puts a little Post-it note right by the camera, which I don't do, but a lot of people do, with a happy face on it. So you're always smiling and happy, whatever. I just say, just be yourself and just don't care what anybody thinks of you. And it'll never be perfect. It'll never ever look perfect. You will always see problems, especially with 4K and stuff. And like there's a reason why I kind of have a little bit of shade on this side here, is because you can see kind of the acne scars and stuff, right? So I'm fully transparent. I don't care. Hey. But you just gotta not care about your imperfections, and to quote a great line from the movie The Fisher King, you gotta do the best with what you got, and just be you, and just not care what people think of you. Yeah. Problem with 4K like this, I'm broadcasting this in 1440, and if you guys are using high speed internet, you can go to the little Gears of War icon. Asking me, you like that? Hey, little video game reference. The little gear. Click on that, and you can change the video settings to high. The problem with doing stuff like this, and I do record this also in 4K just to future-proof stuff, like I do all my MBA degree classes, is that you see so many details, like everything, dude, like everything. Like I have to use tweezers for like a unibrow now. Not that I care. Well, I guess I do care a little bit, right? But I don't want to look like Bert. Yeah, but you just got to tell yourself, I just don't care. And it's therapeutic too, dude. Say, I don't care. Try it with me. I just don't care. You got to do it. All right. Next one is Salim is asking, how do you write a book? I'll give you 20 seconds on the template. Here we go. So only because I mentioned this before. So what you do is go over here to my website, okay, harounventures.com, okay, and then you're going to go write book, all one word, all lowercase, write book, go. And then you're going to click here to download this template, which is free and easy to use. Okay, and you can right click and save the link as. This is just showing you what it looks like. It's really simple. If you know how to use Microsoft Word in a browser, you can do this. And this template here is to make a book that's 6 inches by 9 inches. Okay, and this will tell you how to publish it on Amazon Print, KDP, which is Kindle Direct Publishing, as well as Audible. It's all free. Do it for free. And then if you want, I give you the name of the person. I never get kickbacks. This wonderful lady in Bangladesh who makes all the covers for my books on Fiverr.com. You click here to go to her page. She's great. Put your book title here, your name, all this stuff. You write dedication and dedicate to your parents, and they'll cry when they see it. Copyright stuff. I'm not a lawyer, so talk to a lawyer by clicking here. Talk to a real lawyer. I'm not one. Thank God. And I wrote this to my mom and dad, who gave me the faith and confidence to know in my heart that you can accomplish anything in life, which is true. They were good with that. They were awesome. Despite those bastard teachers that wanted to fail me all the time, they always stood up for me. All right. Yeah. And this here is just basically when you write the Microsoft Word document, whatever it is, if you right click on this within the program, you can update the fields automatically to have all the chapters done for you. So all you gotta do is just go in here, fill in the blanks. Put your check text there, yada, 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 all that stuff. Okay. Anyway, it's all there. You somebody wrote here, page 23. What does that mean? GGFF. Oh, I guess the images are gone now for some reason. Oh, maybe it's because this is on the non-Word version. This is just within Dropbox, but thank you for that, Liora La. Appreciate that. So anyway, that's how it's done. And if you have additional questions, let me know. But just visualize how awesome it will be when you bring your published book to your interviews, your job interviews, or just to meetings with potential customers. Nobody does that. You got to ask yourself, how badly do you want that job? All right. And Asamina say, by the way, I was thinking of joining the MBA program in the next class. As for the paint, yeah, it's a green paint. It's going away though a bit. It's kind of fading in my screen, or in my screen, my skin. Yeah. You wrote, as for the paint, if it's oil-based, stick it in the freezer. My hand? No, I know you mean the paint. Yeah. It's going to solidify the oil and dry the paint. Oh, cool. I'll do that. Thank you. It's been more than a week now, man. And that keeps happening to me. You know, history repeats itself. I keep getting green. It's not easy being green, as Kermit said. Thank you. And then Rose is saying, Chris, do you think there will be a recession in 2020? Is it a bad idea to start a business during a recession? How can we recession-proof our business? What businesses are least affected by recessions? Great question. So in terms of recession, I don't know. I mean, we're definitely we're getting closer to one because business is cyclical. Usually it's 10 years. Great market, crappy market, recovery. Boom, bust, echo. Rinse, lather, repeat. If anybody says this time it's different, they're always wrong. Yeah. So at some point we will be, and that's not a bad thing. But I actually prefer starting companies during recessions because not many people do. And your and when you come out of the recession, your business is levered up for growth, right? So, and then in terms of recession proofing a business, it's tough. But what I recommend doing is take my complete business plan course. Actually, no, don't do that, Rose. Don't take that course because you're in the MBA degree program. I'm going to teach you how to write business plans in much more detail as well. And during semesters 3 and 4 in the second half of calendar 2020, you're going to write a business plan anyway in the program, and you're going to present it as well to your peers. So it'll be fun. You'll love it. You'll learn a lot. It'll be cool. And I really believe that failing to plan is plan to fail. So we'll do that together. It'll be fun. In terms of what businesses are least affected by recessions, consumer staples. Which basically means stuff you buy no matter what, even if you don't have that much money or whatever it is, including like stocks that usually do better during recessions include Campbell's Soup. Soup is good food. CPB is the ticker. And it's got a decent dividend yield. In Walmart, people are going to shop just as much at Walmart, maybe more even during recessions, that sort of thing. So just think about stuff that you need to buy, no matter what. And a lot of healthcare companies are too. Like my dad's healthcare company before he sold it recently, it was recession proof. Like he'd actually do better during recessions. So I guess some healthcare as well. And maybe some outsourcing companies too, because people might look to save money by outsourcing during recessions, that sort of thing. Yeah. But it's usually ones with higher dividend yields that are slow growth. Yeah. And Phil Germany. Hey, Phil, how are you, bud? And Phil Germany actually wrote a book using that same template I showed you. I don't have his book around here. It's somewhere here. I can't find it, but it's called Super Students, and it's available on Amazon now. But he wrote it using my template, and we're going to go to Amazon right now, and I'm going to show you Phil's book, which I bought, which was awesome, and it's so prophetic that the name of his book is Super Students, because he's one of my many super students. Okay, so let me go and search for Super Students, and let's see if it comes up here. It's going to be, what I'm going to do is probably I'm going to do a search on Super Students Phil Germany the second. It's got to be in here somewhere. And Phil, if I'm messing this up, tell me, brother, please. How am I not finding it? I bought it here, dude. Phil. Wow. All right, I'm going to take you all off screen share for a second because I'm going to go to my orders. And it's not that I don't trust you. So let me continue. I'll sign in. I'll go to search all orders and I'll type Super Students. By the way, your kids can tap into Amazon and find out. Here it is. Good. Yeah. And find out what their Christmas or holiday presents are. And I'm going to show you a way around that. Oops, wrong one. So a way around that is what you do is when you order it, you can click on it and go archive the order. I called Amazon to find out. That way they won't see it here. So this here is Super Students. I bought this back in September. Yeah, I bought it. So this is his awesome book. Here it is. Here it is. And there's honey. Isn't that cool? You guys know PayPal bought honey for like $4 billion. Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, good book. Buy it, everybody. I'll close that down. And I will go back. Let's try this camera angle now. Let's try. Oh, poster's falling off the wall a bit. Hold on 1 second, guys. I'll let you see this. Hold on. Yeah. All right. It's just glue there in the corner. All right, there we go. If you haven't seen the movie Tucker yet, you got to see it. That's your Skudai. That's your homework. Somebody tell me what language Skudai is. All right. What's next here? Yeah, and then Phil Germany, he said, use Chris's template if you can do so. Just choose a passionate subject. It's simple. I'm writing another one. Good for you, Phil. Awesome. And Phil, every time I see you, this is tradition because you've been on my call for, this is week 69 now, but since maybe week 5 or 6. Every time I see your name, I used to say, thank you, Germany, for Hans Zimmer, because I do mean that, right? The country Germany, that's where Hans Zimmer lives. And if you haven't listened to the soundtrack for the movie Interstellar, you got to do it. Asamina, you got to do it when you're programming your video game. It'll get you in a zone. Okay, and I like actually the soundtrack, the Vangelis soundtrack for Blade Runner, the first one. It's awesome, yeah. Okay, we got another 15 minutes. Amir is saying, hey, Haroun, what up, dog? Thank you so much for the courses you put on Udemy. I'm preparing an amazing business plan for my new restaurant following the perfect business plan course. Much love from India. More love right back at you, Amir. Thank you. Thank you. And God bless you. God bless you. Awesome. And the best food anybody will ever eat is something called dosa. Okay. And for those of you in America, you'll go to Indian restaurants and you'll probably order amazing food like tandoori, curry stuff, or naan bread, which rocks. And I'm getting really hungry thinking of it. Or if you go to, you can get a lassi, a yogurt drink, which is awesome. But for some reason in America, you don't have dosa much in Indian restaurants. I don't know why. Wow. But when I went to Mumbai, and to New Delhi. Just to give presentation years ago, whatever. I went to Punjabi Grill at the airport. I'm embarrassed to say that, but that was my favorite food in history, was Punjabi Grill at those two airports. And I ordered dosa. And it was like the first time you put a fresh Krispy Kreme donut in your mouth. It's the best food you'll ever eat. So try a dosa. And Amir, I hope you have some dosas in your restaurant there. Okay, and then Mercy from Victoria, Canada, BC is saying oh, good. And I asked her earlier, thank you for this. For the quick follow-up, I asked Mercy, why is it called British Columbia? Because a lot of great Canadian provinces are, sorry, I got to stop that alarm. A lot of great Canadian provinces are named after first inhabitants. Oh my God! Actually, I gotta wrap up the call. I'm so sorry, guys. I gotta get ready. I got 11:15 call with my MBA students. I gotta take a quick little break. But I'm going to answer the rest of his questions here, and then we'll jump. Actually, I'll time it perfectly. Here we go. Good. Okay. But I got to read your Columbia. Okay. Chris, my research indicates that the word Columbia always signals an atypical and obscure relationship with federal government. Interesting. For example, Washington, D.C. is not a state, that's right, but a federally funded and Congress directed making it a federal district. That's right, for no conflict of interests. Goddess Columbia is the same as a Greek goddess of craft, equals Athena. That's right, Athena is a great Greek name too. Yeah. At least my friends are named Athena, a lot of them Greece. The Indian energy of illusion, Maya. And then you wrote here, it's the same as the Black Madonna connected to the light of the world, which is Lucifer, yeah. My experience in British Columbia, Canada is very different from Toronto. I said Toronto because you put capital O. And on the way business is operated. I love it. And then you write about the NBA. Thank you for that feedback. I wrote that there. Thank you. You wrote that there. So yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot of regionalism in Canada with Toronto. It's kind of like America with New York, kind of. Yeah. BC is very different. Yeah. The left coast, where I live now. Yeah. Thank you for that. That's interesting. Appreciate that. Awesome. I feel like I'm watching pop-up video on VH1 in the 90s. I love it. I'm learning. Salim is saying, Chris, how did you talk without stop on webcast? So there's a special new derivative cocaine product that I use a lot. I'm just kidding. I've never done that. I never will. I just love what I do. I just enjoy it. I just love it. I'm passionate about this. It's fun for me. It's fun. I enjoy it. That's why. And I remember one time, October 31st, we went 9.5 hours straight. I didn't get up once. And it's because I enjoy it. It's kind of like when you go to a movie and it's such a good movie that after you leave, you're like, oh my God, I never checked my watch once. And that's a measure of how good a movie is, how much you check your watch. So I just love it. Find, like as Confucius said, find an occupation you love and you'll never have a job for the rest of your life. All right. Next one is Agnieszka. Is saying, Chris, how are you? Welcome to the call. First time I've seen you. I hope you join us again. Thank you. Chris, how do you deal with a manager who has problems with taking criticism and instead takes all personally and there's no way to get things improved? It's tough. Yeah. And when I manage people, I usually criticize in private, but I praise in public. I learned that from Godfrey Sullivan, who used to be the great CEO of Splunk, ticker SPLK. He did a great job at that IPO. Yeah, I guess it's hard, dude. It's hard. I guess you can criticize yourself indirectly with something they have an issue with. I don't know. Hopefully there's a 360 review period where you can all write about feedback about your boss. I don't know. A sensitive boss. Maybe your boss is so insecure they think they hired their assassin, which is not the case, but you know what I'm getting at. Maybe get another job. I say it with love my heart too. Take my complete job course. If your boss is driving you nuts. And you know what, dude? You can learn sometimes more from working for people that don't know how to manage people than vice versa. You'll learn how to not manage people. That's the silver lining. Yeah. That's hard though. Managing up is so hard, dude. I don't think there is any solution. Just don't criticize them. It's the golden rule. He or she who has the gold makes the rules. Yeah. And if it drives you nuts, get out of there. Sorry for not being more direct. If you want at some point, I got to head out in a second, guys, just because I got to do the MBA office hours call. But ask me next week if you want in more detail. Give me like the exact scenario, and I promise you I'll have a better answer. I feel bad about not having a great answer there. All right, Abdul is saying, hey, Chris, how are you doing? I'm great, thanks. How are you? You said, would you recommend membership in the CFA Society is useful for my career? Yeah, I think it's better than an MBA in finance, at least. At CFA level 1 is basically, it's like an MBA, right? It's the finance you'll learn there. Level 2 and 3 are more advanced, especially from a bond and options perspective, but it's very well respected. If you have time, I would do it, yeah. But don't buy the expensive books. Go to eBay and buy the used Schweizer books for $30 or $40 instead of the $1,000 you're going to spend on their books. And they're shorter too, and it's easier to do. And I use that for level 1, yeah. All right. And then Majed is saying, hey again, Chris, I'm a visual learner and I'm really interested in your networking book. Do you mind sharing the YouTube link to the book? And does it cover the entire contents of the book? Thanks a lot. Yeah, no, don't buy it. Go to my website. You can download it for free. And it's 200 and something pages with a couple hours of links to YouTube videos. So go to, that's what my Arabic relatives say when they're trying to think. They don't say they go Ella, Yani, Ella. Anybody not Arabic thinks I'm crazy. That's okay. I know I am. I don't care. Just go to my my website, harounventures.com, and then you can just download the book for free there. Yeah. All right. And then last comment I've got here. Oh, there's a couple more, actually. Asamina is saying, by the way, just in case, have a lovely week, a Merry Christmas, and a lovely and prosperous New Year's. Same to you. Merry Christmas to you and your family as well. And Yaya is going to be making those special cookies where they put the fork around the cookies. I guess that's a Coptic tradition for like crown of Jesus. Yeah. So I'll be having that. Thank you. It's really good. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. Same to you and your family. And JR, what up, JR, is saying The Giving Tree. Oh, interesting. It's a famous children's book by Shel Silverstein. I came across it in Give and Take, Adam Grant. Oh, that's right. In the book back there. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, I will check it out. Thanks for that, dude. Thank you. Appreciate that. And A Mercy is saying, Merry Christmas, everyone. You'll now follow Chris to the MBA AMA forum. That's right. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, you'll join me in that call. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, everybody. Big air hug, virtual hug here from Chris, an augmented reality hug. And I'll see you all next week and every Thursday forever. Okay, I'm going to go to my wrap-up splash screen here, and I'll see you all next week. And thank you.